Hello and welcome to the first ever live stream in my cold basement. Yeah, the podcast live stream.
That's not an announcement.
It's not an announcement.
I mean, it could be.
I don't know what to call this. I don't even know if I'll keep doing it. This is kind of experimental. But anyways, welcome to the first ever live stream in my cold basement where we feature a guest.
That should not be the name of this.
Yes, it should be the name. And my name's Dustin, also known as your video tour guide. And here today we have Tyler McCulloch. I would call him, I told him when he came in, I was like, originally I was going to have talking points for this. And I was, going to be more prepared. But the only thing I'm prepared about, I guess, is just what you see here.
That's all he knows.
And the name.
He was like, I got that.
If I were to improvise, though, where he is a successful, not only videographer, but also businessman. And he's currently freelance running his own video production company. And I mean, I haven't talked to him in like months, it feels like, because at least face to face, because he's always working. And yeah, today we're going to be talking to Tyler about how can you run a successful video production business in 2021, or what are some tips and tricks? I don't know, something like that. How would you put it?
Something like that. I don't know. You're running the interview.
I am running the interview.
Just answer the questions.
I haven't run an interview in a while. I'm out of it.
Love First is here. Don't you know his name?
I do. It's Lord.
Lord
is
here. Welcome, Lord.
Lord.
Have you?
Lord is OG.
Yeah, he is.
He watches all the videos.
Everything.
Is here for all the live streams.
I've seen him before. I remember. That's why I was like, I know that you know this guy.
Yes, I do. And also, the audio is actually mixed for my voice, so I'm gonna sound better than you.
Oh, that's lame.
But I'm the one who's running.
You're
this,
the star.
So, yeah, I'm the star.
Okay, well,
that's like a $20 microphone.
I can tell.
And this is like a I don't even know, like $500 microphone.
Put on some sweetener on me.
I could, but then it's gonna sweeten me probably too much.
All right, we'll figure it out.
And welcome, by the way, Lord, back. I'm happy that you're here.
And everyone, if you're watching live or if you're watching the recording.
Exactly. We are happy.
We would shout you
here.
out, but you should have been here live. So sorry.
Exactly. So the format for this will kind of be taking questions throughout. For the most part, though, in the beginning, I think we'll just kind of talk to Tyler and get his insight on what he's planning to do for 2021, maybe what he's done in the past as well. I know this is kind of a weird year as well, and maybe for somebody who's trying to break into the industry, we can get his insight. Also my insight, but the focus is more Tyler. So yeah, and then towards the end, we will probably take more questions and just kind of focus on those. No idea how long this is going to last.
Yeah, I mean, if you drop in at any point and drop your questions,
yes,
we'll do what we can.
Drop your questions.
And again, same thing goes for if you're watching the recording after we are live, we'll respond. It just won't be in the video. It will be in a comment.
Yes. All right.
There we go.
So, Tyler, should we just tell him how we actually even know each other? Oh yeah, he also gets the boom arm.
I'm on a boom pole.
Boom pole with the C stand. Yeah. I get the mic stand. I actually was planning on putting like boom arms, but then I realized I only have one of these things.
Oh yeah. Shock mount.
Yeah, shock mount.
I'm gonna raise it up a little bit, but you can go ahead and ask your question.
So the question was, should we kind of introduce like how we know each other? And at the beginnings of
sure.
us.
This is so much better.
All right. I'm glad.
Yeah, so Dustin and I met at college. We were both going to film school at the same university.
College university. I've learned that.
Yes, international.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we were at university, which is way nicer than colleges.
Yep.
Here in America, they're about the same thing. But we were at university together going to film school. We both were majoring in digital media, and we both had a job on campus working at in the event center for sporting events and for, I don't know what else. I mean, like pretty much just sports, right?
You were mostly sports. So I actually worked there.
That's right.
In-house. You were kind of like just for sports broadcasting.
For
yeah. And I worked
for the event center.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
so
right.
I would do all events that kind of happened there, not only the sports stuff. But anyways,
And I would come in for just the events. So I was paid by the events. Universities are dumb in the way that they use their budgets and like different departments and whatnot. So I worked for athletics and I was the director. So whenever they had a sports event, I would come in and I would direct the cameraman as well as the technical director, and we would do a live broadcast either up onto the Jumbotron or out onto the local television station. So I came in for athletics, and then I would have all the camera people in my ear and I would talk to them. And so Dustin was one of the cameramen that I would direct and say like, hey, shoot your camera somewhere else, and then go to camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. And so he was in my ear and we just got to talking and we just clicked, and we were like, hey, we both like video games and we both are in the same major, and like, he's a good looking guy. I actually thought he was kind of a douche at first because he always wore flat brimmed hats. I've told him this before. This is not a new thing, by the way.
It's not. I actually had somebody, I need to show you it. Maybe we'll even bring it up on stream a little bit later, but I had somebody comment a link to a video and they said, just watch it until this point. And it was some kind of older fella. I've never watched him before, but he had longer hair. His videos like looks really nice, but yeah, he was basically making fun of how every videographer these days has a flat brim hat. Oh, and RGB lights in the background.
Perfect.
So I left him a comment and
hilarious.
said, maybe I like my flat brim hats and RGB
He
lights.
does. He likes both of those things.
I like both those
and that's
things.
no problem.
Yes.
But he's not as big of a douche as he looks like. And so we became friends. And yeah, I've been able to, I mean, that was what, 7 years ago? Something like that?
Let's see, it's 2021 now. And 7,
Maybe
or
even
was
more.
it 8?
Maybe 8. Anyways.
It was 8.
Was it 8?
Because you were just about to get married.
Which that doesn't help me at all. I don't know what year that was. But yeah.
That's true. I haven't been married as long, so I can remember.
7 or 8 years ago, let's say 8, a long time ago, that's when we met. And then we both kind of went on from there and both graduated, I think, the same year.
Yep.
And
same year. We both walked.
Yeah.
Well, you graduated like a semester early.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Same year, graduated right around the same time, and then have gone through our film careers together. And we're both freelance for a while. Now you have a full-time job. Now you're killing YouTube. And I had a full-time job for a while and then went full-time freelance. And here we are.
Yeah. So I kind of want to start from the beginning, I guess, is like we both graduated and you mentioned you had a full-time job.
Yes.
So what was your full-time job? You actually had this job as well, I believe. Like, how did this job start?
Yeah. So I worked for a fitness company and made all their videos. Fitness companies are really great because they need a lot of videos. They usually have supplements that they're pushing out, and they'll have like a protein powder, a pre-workout. They'll have, what else do they have? Stick packs, which are like little, you put them in water bottle, you get a lot of energy, that kind of stuff. They have lots of products that need videos. Then they have workout videos, they need lots of videos. So I was working for a fitness company making all their videos. And
before you get too far, I want to know how you got the job. Just because I know how you got the job.
I don't know what you're fishing for. I got the job off of Craigslist.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. That's what I was like, I don't know.
So if you're first starting out,
yeah,
maybe you should search for jobs on Craigslist, video jobs.
I mean, there's lots of different places to look for jobs, right? Yeah. There's Indeed, there's Monster, there's Craigslist, there's we have a local listing called KSL, whatever your local classifieds are. But yeah, I just happened to be, I would go on Craigslist and look under the TV film, because there's a section under there for TV film jobs. And I mean, I found quite a few jobs on Craigslist, not enough to like keep me busy or anything, but I don't look anymore. But it used to be like, oh, hey, I could pick up an extra $100, $150, $250. I remember there was a gig on Craigslist. Somebody was looking for trying to get their son a baseball scholarship. And he posted on Craigslist, like, I need somebody to come take film of my kid just doing batting practice. And I'll give you, $150. And I was like, yeah. Edit together with some music and some titles, because it has to, and then like shoot him saying like, hey, my name is whatever his name is, I thank you for taking interest in me as a college athlete, so whatever, like I think Craigslist is a great place to look. So that's where I found the posting for this supplement job. I started working there while I was still in school at university, and then when I graduated, they moved me to full-time, which was really awesome. It's a great place to work.
It was. Yeah, it was a cool company. I actually did a little bit of freelance as well. Tyler would hire me because, we went to college together. We could actually trust each other.
Yeah, that's the great part about working in this industry is knowing the people that you know and then being like, hey, there's enough for everybody, right? It's not just Like Dustin is, in my opinion, way better at me at making videos, but I oftentimes have more clients than he does. But I'll always be like, hey, come help me. I'll pay you part of my budget. Help me make it look better. I need a second person on the shoot, whatever. And that's happened with me as well. Like, don't be afraid of getting to know other filmmakers. Don't be afraid. I mean, that's the first tip I would say if you're trying to grow your business is like, whenever I meet somebody new, I'll like analyze who is better quickly, not in like I need to know competition wise, but like we met at that party we went to, which is funny. We don't go to parties, COVID. It was a very small gathering at my house actually, so that's why it's safe. But we met this new guy and he was like, oh yeah, I work with like Post Malone and some stuff. And I was like, whoa, that's really cool. And immediately I was like, hey, any gigs you get that you're too busy for, I want to be the guy you send them to. And he was like, oh, that actually would be really helpful because I get requests all the time and they're just not worth my time. Because once you get to the level where you're working with Post Malone or rappers of any kind, you're probably getting requests for like, will you make my video for $500? And he's like, get out of here. Like my minimum budget's $5,000. And I'm like, I'd love to make your video for $500, right? I wouldn't love to, but if it takes me a day, it's like, hey, that's worth it. So
yeah, totally.
That's my strategy is I like, hey, network with everybody you can. And then you help them, they help you. It becomes this great relationship where you like that. I
guess that is one of the things I kind of talked about. I think it was in the last live stream of just myself, but it is something that is, I think, be interested to get your opinion as well. And people ask like, should I go to school for, video? Do I have to go to school? Like, what is the advantage and disadvantage? So what is your kind of take on you going to college? What do you think? Yeah,
I have a really good answer, I think, for this because I have actually spoken at our university twice now, one of which you attended. And my opinion is I think it all depends on what you do. And for filmmakers specifically, we have a unique answer is that I'll share my experience and that'll help you give an answer is that at my full-time job, I was already working there full-time as a student. And the day I graduated, they gave me a $10,000 raise, maybe more. I don't remember exactly the numbers. Might've been $12,000, but it was a huge raise. And I remember asking, I was like, hey, all I did from yesterday to today was get a piece of paper that said I graduated. Like, how is that worth $12,000? And the HR guy at the time said, hey, you're worth more to our competition. So we need to pay you more to keep you here because we like you. Like your skills didn't improve at all, but the piece of paper makes you worth more. So if your intention is to go work for a corporate job, for a business, for a full-time company, be an in-house kind of guy, not a production house, but if you're going to go work for a supplement company or a skincare company or any kind, if you're going to work for a company that is not a film company, they are going to care about your education. And that's where a degree comes in handy, as well as applying for jobs. If you're applying for jobs like that, sometimes if you don't have a degree, you won't even make it past like the robot that decides if you're worth it, right? Now, on the flip side of that, as soon as I left that full-time job and went to go be freelance on my own as an entrepreneur, I've never had anyone give two craps about my degree. It's never helped me at all. No one's asked. It doesn't get me paid anymore. It's all about my experience and what my reel looks like and how good I am at making films. So that's a long answer, but like, no, it's not required. You can certainly, if you're good at making videos, you will get hired and you will make videos. You'll make films, whatever it is. But if you want safety and security and want to go work at an in-house full-time 9 to 5, 8 to 5 kind of corporate job, then maybe getting a degree is a smart move.
Yeah, kind of the phrase that I hear a lot is content is king.
Absolutely.
When you're a freelancer. And that goes to show even not when you're a freelancer, but when you're applying for jobs. If you have some content and a portfolio where people can look and be like, they're not going to care. They're not even going to care what your background is. If you can show what your capabilities and what you can do, then they're going to hire you no matter what.
Absolutely. When it comes to getting hired,
yes.
I mean, most people, I don't care what their experience is, right? They're able to look and be like, man, that guy's stuff is sharp. The colors are great. It sounds great. Music, editing, like that stuff, everybody notices, right? And you go, man, that stuff looks good. This guy's stuff doesn't look quite as good. There you go. That's how you get hired.
There you go. So now I want to jump into what was so you had this job, right? And it was a great job. You liked it there for the most part, at least.
I loved it. It was a great job.
It was a cool job. I was jealous of his job at the time. I mean, I had a job. So just to give a little bit background information to me as well, I was actually working full time as a sales rep for
that's right.
for Verizon.
Say, where were
when
you
I
at the time?
when I was not when I had met Tyler. It was my last 2 semesters of school, and I just decided personally, I got that job during the summer, that I wanted to just finish my degree because I was so close. So I actually worked full time there. I quit the job at the event center because it just paid way more. I could actually sustain life. Yeah, I could actually pay my bills and everything, because that job did not pay very well, but it gave me good experience. And anyway, so I worked there about a year after I graduated, but then I got a job at a video production company. And it was a small company. There wasn't a ton of people there. There was a few designers, few web designers, creative director, kind of like higher ups there as well, executive producer. And I was kind of hired to do all of the video editing or whatnot. So at that time, we were both kind of working jobs. Like it felt pretty much like we were set. All right, this is the end. Like, we're gonna die here.
It's funny because we both kind of have a similar story here on how we left.
We do. And so, I want to jump into what was the ultimate decision or the background of the story of why you decided to go freelance.
So we both loved our jobs. I was like, I could work here till I'm 55, 60. Yeah, for sure. Like, I'll ride this wave, working with people I love, doing things I loved. The pay was good. I loved it. In fact, quick highlight, like, we hit a sales goal, and the entire company, again, not huge, maybe 40 people, the entire company went on a 7-day cruise because we hit this sales goal with our +1, right?
This is why I was jealous of Tyler's job, because my job, we would go to Washington, D.C. sometimes, and
for
California
work.
for
not
work.
for vacation.
Yeah, not for vacation, for work.
There wasn't an ounce of work on this cruise.
Yeah.
It was straight up like, hey, celebrate 7 days off, +1, airfare to Florida, hotel in Florida, 7-day cruise, airfare back, food covered the whole time. It was sick.
Exactly. That was the closest thing I got to a day, a vacation paid by the company or whatever.
While you were working.
While I was working.
Took a day off.
Yeah, but Tyler was getting all of that. So
that was it was a great company, right? We loved it. So as happens in the corporate world, if you've been there for any amount of time, sometimes companies get acquired, which means they're bought by somebody else, by investors who want to say, hey, you're growing at a great rate. We're gonna whatever. Long story short, my company got acquired, and immediately the culture shifted. There were no more cruises. There was no more, you weren't working with your friends anymore. Everybody was on edge trying to impress the new bosses. The new bosses had a new idea of you have to work so many hours. It doesn't matter how productive you are. It just if you're in the building, it was just dumb. I didn't like it. And on top of all of that, they came to me and were like, hey, we've analyzed your pay structure and we think you're being paid too much. So we're going to lower your pay by $10,000 a year. And to be quite frank, I was making about $55,000 US at the time, and they lowered me down to 45, which is a significant drop. Yeah, right?
Big drop.
55
big drop.
is a good average. Hey, you're doing just fine, and 45 is I don't know. I feel like there's a huge drop between 45 and 55.
Yeah, there is.
And so I was not okay with it at all. And that was the nail that was done. And so I decided I'm not staying here for sure, just off of principle that if this is how you're going to treat your people, I'm gone. Right. And so at the time, I think that was late October, early November. And so I said, okay, by January 30th, that's my New Year's resolution. I set my New Year's resolution in November. Said January 30th, I will have a new job or I will leave. Yep. So I started applying for jobs, but not a lot of people are hiring in December, right? Holidays and stuff. So I had a few interviews, and then I had one of my clients, because I was always doing stuff on the side as well. And so it was cool because I would be making my salary at the company and then doing as much as I could on the side, freelance, just on nights and weekends and whenever I could. So one of my biggest clients at the time, I said, hey, would you mind writing a letter of recommendation and being a reference while I apply for these jobs? And he said no. And I was really surprised. I was like, oh, I thought we were tight. Thanks. Bye, I guess. And he was like, no. I will. But what I'd much rather do is I would rather you go work for yourself. You're too talented to go get another job. And I had never thought of that before. And I was like, what? That's really nice of you, but I don't think I can pay my bills just working for myself. Like, you're my biggest client and you don't pay enough to cover my rent for the year, right? So like, I don't know what to tell you. So he was kind enough to kind of mentor me a little bit and show me the way. And then he was able to say, hey, if I knew you were more available, I would refer you to more people that I know. So that's when he said, hey, I mean, he was big in the speaking industry, and he said, he kind of shouted me out to all these other speakers and said, hey, here's this video guy. He's ready to go. He's full-time, jumping the ship and ready to work for you. And I got a bunch of people, bunch of new clients who I wouldn't have had otherwise because of that moment. So I decided, and then there was one job that was looking promising. And after this idea came into my mind, I went to 3 interviews. If you get to 3 interviews in any job, like, you're pretty much there, right?
Yep.
But on my 3rd interview, I had this new thought of like, I could work for myself. So that's when I went to my 3rd interview, and I kind of asked questions that were like, what's my flexibility? What's my freedom to like leave and work my own? And they were like, ew, none at all. Like, what's wrong with you? And then I didn't get the job, I believe, because of that 3rd interview. They were like, who's this guy in here who wants all these, who's this millennial who wants to like leave in the middle of the day to go do freelance stuff? So I didn't get the job, the only promising lead I had, and then I got a bunch new clients. And so I thought, this is it. Let's give it a shot. Worst that happens is that I don't make enough money and I have to go job hunting again, which is back where I am now. At the time I was married, my wife was working, we didn't have any kids. So it's not like there was a big risk, because it was like, my wife has enough money that she will survive. She might leave me, but she'll survive, right? And don't have any kids that like, oh, sorry, we can't feed little Jimmy. So I made the jump and I went freelance, and it worked out so well. I started making 2, sometimes 3 times as much as I was at my corporate job. No paid cruises, but when you're making enough money that you can buy your own cruise, it's pretty cool. And that has taken me all over the world, and we can get into all that.
Yeah, he's done that ever since. So like timeline wise, we graduated in 2015. So what is that, 6 years ago?
Yeah.
And then it was, what was it, about a year after? Or was it 2 years after? It was almost 2 years.
Maybe 2. I don't remember the exact timeline.
It was roughly about that time. So basically about 2016, 2017, Tyler's been freelance. And I made a similar thing. When I was at my company, the company got bought. Well, they merged with another company. It wasn't like yours, in your case, where they got bought out.
Right.
It was, they just merged with a entirely new company. And the thing that my company struggled with was like marketing back then, because we did a really good job in the video department and like knowing people and how to get things done. But when it came to like marketing the company and getting more clients, the company did not a great job with that. And they would admit that as well. So this merge was supposed to be really good, but it wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like it was terrible, but it was just like projects would go in with literally no plan. We would film it, and then it was all coming back to just me, because a lot of the times they wanted me to take care of the videos because they knew like, oh, Dustin's the guy. There was another video editor there, but she mostly focused on other things that she was better at than me, like archiving and like, stuff like that I don't know how to do. So there was a lot of pressure on me to basically save the projects. And there's a few projects that I'm pretty proud of that I would say I did save, but there was some that I am not proud of as well. And
that's no way to live, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To have all that pressure on you from your employer.
And a lot of the times it just felt like they didn't really have my back, because they would, like one time we did this one project and the guy was so involved, the one who was over the project was so involved, he wanted to come sit over me and tell me exactly what he wanted. Basically, I was just a button presser, because I wasn't...
The client or your supervisor?
Not my supervisor, the client. And he allowed that, is what I'm saying. Because it's not that I wasn't confident in my ability to like edit. It was just like, that was the most painful day of my life. It was like, okay, so move it back this way. That doesn't work. Like, delete it. It was exhausting, and I was just brain dead. And then a little bit, to give a little more context of how I could even go freelance, I was the same as Tyler, as I was doing stuff on the side from my company as well. I had a friend that I met in high school. He was doing kind of like adventure films, and he needed an editor, and he said, oh yeah, I'll pay you, like, how does $20 an hour sound? I really need somebody to edit. And I was like, sure, I'll do that. Why not? And so I would earn a little extra money from that on the side. And anyways, I had talked to, I was trying to think of anything else. Oh, I was also doing wedding videos on the side too. I didn't really, I didn't really take it as serious back then, but it was that year when I was like, well, Tyler went freelance. Maybe I should think about that as well and kind of build up my clientele on the side and think about going freelance. And so anyways, long story short, I ended up quitting and I was freelance for about a year and a half. And I had a good relationship still with that company. So I was able to not only do the editing for my buddy, and he was paying me more by then because I had already been doing videos for him for like 2 years, and do weddings, but also still freelance for that company. And so now we come to the ultimate question, I guess, of the live stream, which is, how are we going to be successful as freelancers? I know I'm not freelance, but my freelance, I guess, looks a little bit different for this year. But what are you doing? I guess, and what did you do in 2020? Because that was a tough year for a lot of freelancers in the live events industry, because you do a lot of kind of live events. How did you transition in there, and how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, 2020 was tough. I took about a 15 up to 20% hit in my yearly revenue. And there were some months where I had like almost no work, and that was really tough. One thing I pivoted really hard to was doing live streaming, which, not like on Twitch or like what we're doing here, but like for clients. So I would say, hey, if you need a live stream, I will have a professional setup, which was tough because I had never done that before. So I had to figure it out kind of like everybody else. There was a scramble on equipment. Everything was sold out. I came and borrowed some stuff because Dustin has done Twitch streaming before. So I was like, hey, I need to borrow your Elgato. I need to borrow, like, what the heck am I doing? And then found the Blackmagic A10 Mini, which is like my savior of life.
The A10 Mini is pretty sweet.
It's so good. So good.
Even when he told me about it, I was like,
are you sure?
Pretty sweet.
That's what it does? Yeah. Like, that's what it does. It's amazing. So, in fact, just yesterday, I live streamed a live event all day long and got paid pretty well for it. And it was fun. It's a lot of setup, but then once it's set up, it's like, now I just kind of sit here and just like make sure the slides go up at the right time and make sure I switch audio. So I started live streaming a lot in 2020, and I'd say that became, I hadn't done any live streams at all. And then in 2020, it was probably 30% of my business was doing live streams.
So you not only you actually increased your percentage, would you say? Because you said you lost about 20%, 15, 20%, and then it was about 30% of your income, or
30% of my income, but my income was still lower because of the number of events that are going on.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
But there's tons of people out there who need live presentations on Zoom or Microsoft Teams or whatever. They need to look good. So I work with a lot of speakers, and obviously their industry has been rocked, right? Because they're used to being on stages and speaking to thousands of people, which is clearly not happening because of the situation we're in. So they are now speaking on Zoom. And so the better they can look and the better they can sound on Zoom, the more they're willing to pay me to do that for them. So I have a little studio set up in my basement. And then I also can travel and set up. So yesterday we were in a hotel ballroom with about 25 people that were spread out, and then we live streamed to like 100 more on there. So anyways, that's one thing I've pivoted and done. But otherwise, I've tried really hard to figure out, like, man, who needs video consistently that I can work with in 2020, right? And so I'm working with lots of people who are doing real estate, because that is exploding right now. All over the country in America.
Yep.
And so I work with 2 real estate professionals who flip and fix real estate and also teach how to do that. And they make up a consistent large portion of my income. They both have YouTube channels, so they need lots of videos, as well as they need house tours, they need instructional videos, all that kind of stuff. And again, just looking for any kind of business or person who needs consistent video, and then I target that kind of person. And I would love to be doing more with brick and mortar businesses, but a lot of those guys don't have marketing budgets to spend this year.
Yep.
And so I'm looking more towards entrepreneurs, online digital entrepreneurs, usually teams of 1 to 5, maybe up to 10 people, not large businesses, because they have plenty of overhead already. They don't need to add another outsourced videographer. Yep. But if you're like a network marketer, a multi-level kind of person, if you're somebody who sells online products, if you're making $1 million online and then looking to market yourself better, you probably need video. And those are the kind of people that I'm targeting in 2020 and in 2021. And so far it's gone pretty well, worked out.
Yep. Yeah. So it's, so I guess if somebody was like, maybe somebody was hit kind of hard.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any kind of advice for somebody who's trying to like figure out what they can do now? Like what can they do? I know you kind of mentioned like working with, digital entrepreneurs and stuff like that.
If they have been hit hard and they're trying to get started, or in what capacity?
They're trying to recover, I guess.
Okay.
We'll get back to the get started.
Sure.
I know that's a tough question too.
No, it is.
I didn't even prepare him for these questions. I'm just coming with. They're coming from my brain. Big brain moves right now.
Yeah. So if somebody was doing freelance already, has been hit hard, it's difficult because I've seen people who have been hit hard in our industry around here and have been like, oh, it'll get back to normal soon. I'll just kind of chill until then. And here we are 9 months later, right? Like, it didn't get back to normal anytime soon.
It's somewhat normal here, like as far as like day-to-day life goes. But yeah, there is no live events. Like you still got to wear masks. Like everything is pretty like the same as everywhere else.
And I would think
just to give a little context too.
I would think that's fairly similar most places around the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I do know that some places are still like fairly locked down.
Yeah, that's true. We're
like
not locked
you can't
down.
even. We can like go out to a restaurant and eat,
Sure.
but like some places still you can't even go to a restaurant, or you can't even go to the gym for that matter. So yeah. We are in the higher kind of tier as far as like cases go for COVID, but we're still below the threshold of like hospitals or getting overwhelmed. So yeah.
So try not to step on your dogs.
Yeah, sorry, my dogs are free right now because my wife's sleeping right now.
No problem. If somebody wasn't hit hard and was looking to try and make new money, I mean, you got to pivot, you got to adjust in whatever way works for you. For me, that was live streaming, and it's funny because I don't even love live streaming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's actually kind of a pain, and it's a much higher stress than recording, but it pays the bills, and so that's what I'm doing. And what's fun for me is like, if you're in Utah and you're looking to live stream, you either hire huge production companies, Cornerstone, Web, or one other that I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can't remember either.
Which are going to charge you like 20 grand at least, right? Like those guys are bringing in a full team, a full truck and all that. Or as far as I know, you contact me or one other guy. His name's Jordan. That's it.
Jordan, if you're watching.
He's not. But
maybe he could be.
If he is, love you, Jordan. I text Jordan all the time. Same kind of thing I was talking about is like, I'm not afraid of Jordan. I'm not like, oh, Jordan's going to take my business. First of all, I don't like doing live streaming. So like, Jordan, take them all, right? But as far as my livelihood, it's like, I text Jordan all the time and I'm like, hey, I can't make this one. Do you want it? And when people say like, hey, can you do it on this date? I say, I can't make that date. And so, well, who do you recommend? Is their next question, right? And I go, oh, Jordan. So coming back to that anyways.
I think the key point is the pivot. That's the big word. You got to pivot because even my brother-in-law, Jed, he's also freelance. Yeah. And my brother-in-law has a lot more stress and pressure on him when the whole thing went down so my brother-in-law, he has 5 kids. He's got a wife. He's
a little bit more to take care of.
Yeah, like big house, like not like huge, but bigger house because he's got 5 kids and a lot of land. And so when things hit, like he's totally freelance. He's in a totally different kind of realm as us, as far as like the video industry goes, because he's a lot older than us and he grew up kind of making movies. Like he's an executive producer. He's really good at project managing. So if somebody needs a project and they're literally at zero, they're like, I don't even know who to hire or what locations to go to. That's what my brother-in-law would do. He doesn't do what we do. We're kind of young and run and gun, he's pivoted to doing that. But when when COVID went down, he had to also pivot to doing a lot of live streaming.
But he does remote live streaming, doesn't he?
Yep.
I don't even know how that works.
I don't even know either.
Which is why he's doing it.
Yeah, that's why he's doing it. So I think that's a good point to also make, is that there are like weird niches out there, or niches out there in the video industry that you can kind of own. So discovering what that niche is, like Tyler like he said that there's either big production companies that you can do live streams with, and the budgets for that, like most people don't have budgets for that, or like him, he only knows one other guy that can do these smaller
in my budget range, right?
in his budget range. And so focusing on stuff like that. And even when it comes to like he does a lot of events for live speakers. He's still kind of one of the only people I know that does. He literally only focuses on people that do speaking events. And like me, I kind of focused on a lot more like weddings, kind of the more common things.
I never did weddings.
Yeah, I did do my kind of adventure stuff. I'll kind of just give you more context to that. That is a very niche thing that I edited for. Basically, I would edit videos. People that do hunts, basically. They would go on these hunts, and I would edit their home video hunts, essentially. And for people that don't know, hunting actually costs a lot of money in order to go hunt certain animals and stuff like that. And they it's like a once in a lifetime experience, a lot of these hunts. And so they would just hire a videographer who was my buddy, and he needed an editor because he was gone like 250 days.
And I think that's what's important is that you weren't reaching out to the hunters.
No.
You had networked, again, as this is the common thing that keeps coming back, is that you met your buddy who was the videographer, and then you did the editing.
Yes,
because he was too busy, and again, he wasn't afraid of hiring you. He wasn't like, oh, Dustin's going to take my business. Dustin's going to help my business.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, that's just the common thread we keep coming back to, is like, network with other videographers, other filmmakers, and see how you can help one another.
Yeah, it's a competition, but in the world we live in now, there's so much demand for content.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and I did a lot of like social content as well. So, but that was kind of a big niche, and I still to this day actually have done editing for him. I'm trying to cut back on it.
He's coming to my house tomorrow to drop some stuff off for me.
Yeah, so I gave it kind of to Tyler because
not all of it.
Not all of it. Yeah,
and that's the thing. As much as you want to,
exactly.
I think he still comes to you first, and then you say like, I'm too busy, and then he comes. I'm his second option, which is fine for both of us.
Yeah, it's fine for both of us.
Because if he's too busy to take it, then I'll take it, and if I'm too busy, I don't know what he's gonna do.
Yeah,
but
he'll find somebody.
Yeah, he has a number of people, right?
Yeah,
but
he has a number of people.
There's enough to go around.
Yeah, I'm kind of the go-to just since I've done it for so long, and we have kind of a method. So to kind of go back to like, what does your year then in 2021 look like then? Is it going to involve a lot of live streaming? I'm assuming it does. Is there anything you're planning on doing to maybe increase that revenue?
Yeah, I mean, 2021 is going to look a lot like 2020 in my opinion. The vaccine is not rolling out nearly quickly as we thought. I don't think COVID's going anywhere for a good number of months. Even once it does, live events aren't coming back for quite some time. I do think that we're going to get back to, I mean, like even being in a hotel ballroom with 25 people, that would never have happened in May of 2020, right?
No.
Or even June.
No.
So it definitely is changing, but I don't have this isn't a great answer, but I don't have big plans for 2021. My plan is whatever comes, take it. Like if I'm in no position to be turning down any work, because if it comes, great, I'll take it. Like this month, I set a new record for monthly revenue of all time, January 2021.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I haven't seen him. Like, I thought he might have died. Like, I'm like, calling his wife, like, hey, like, do you need food? Like, are you okay?
She does, by the way. So yeah, I think 3 weeks ago is when you were like, hey, I wanna like do a live stream and shoot some stuff with you. And I was like, how's the 23rd? What day is it?
Yeah,
the 23rd. I was like, how's the 23rd? And it was like, this was like the 4th you reached out to me, and you were like, okay, if that's what you got. Yeah. Because I have been working every single day. So, and that's the thing is like, whereas November and December 2020 were both some of the slowest months of my career, like in my life, I've never had more time of just sitting around being like, what am I going to do? So in 2021, I just take what comes. And in January, that was a ton of work. I made a ton of money, and I don't know, now I might not make any money in February, but that's okay. That's the up and down of being freelance.
Yep.
But what I'm planning on, is I still am ready to offer live streams. But one of the things, and this would also answer if one of your questions was going to be like, how would you start, is I'm always looking for more people, more businesses, more entrepreneurs who need consistent video, because those are the best clients to have that keep repeating with you, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good point to bring up. So the other day I actually texted Tyler because I know a few kind of YouTube channels, like owners of YouTube channels.
Pretty big ones. We're talking
pretty big
hundreds
ones.
of thousands into the millions.
Yes, close to the millions. Yeah. So, and one of them texted me. They were kind of talking to me since I'm trying to cut back on my type of freelance, and I'm trying to just move on from other things because I feel like I've kind of just graduated from a lot of my old freelance stuff. I'm not even taking weddings this year. I do have 2 weddings that were rescheduled from last year, but besides that, I'm just not really taking weddings anymore.
Because you're comfortable in your full-time job.
Exactly.
Right?
It's a lot easier for me since I'm comfortable. But as far as like, that consistent work, so there is one, the Water Jet channel. There, I actually edited a video for them last night, so I'm going to start editing their stuff.
Sweet.
And then Patrick needed some. Patrick Adair Designs is another YouTube channel. He makes rings for a living. I was going to give that to Tyler, but apparently he already had somebody. There was a miscommunication between him and his brother. But I think it's really good advice because, that work will be really consistent with digital entrepreneurs and like smaller YouTubers that are looking for somebody. You may not make a ton at first, but at least it's consistent work.
Or even somebody who's looking to start a YouTube channel, right? I mean, YouTube's so big, it's so crazy. Everybody, if you're watching this, you, we all dream of having a YouTube channel, right? Like anyone who's on YouTube dreams of having a YouTube channel. I've
started like 20 YouTube channels.
Of course.
I always have ideas, like I start them and then they're terrible, but this is kind of the first one that it goes back to focus on a niche that needs content. I saw, it was a year ago, like I saw that there was like no content out there on YouTube about Panasonic cameras. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just make some videos and just see how it goes.
And it's gone well.
And it's gone really well. Yeah. So we're still small, but
you're getting there.
Yeah,
and in the same vein, with what I'm saying is like, if you're starting out, just this month, I found a guy who does real estate stuff. And he was like, what's it look like? And that's the best question. Whenever somebody comes to me and is like, what's it look like? I'm like, now we're talking money. Here we go. And so he wanted to start a YouTube channel. And I was like, all right, here's how it's going to go. And you're going to pay me this much and I'm going to completely own your channel. I will film all the videos. I'll edit them. I'll do the titles, the metadata, the tags and the thumbnails. I'll answer the comment. I'll do everything for you. But know that you're not going to make money off of this potentially ever.
Yep.
Now, if you're okay with that, here's how much that costs. You're going to pay me this monthly fee. And he was like, okay, so let's do that for like 4 months and see where we're at.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, let's do it.
Yep.
And
by money, you mean like ad revenue, not the money that could come from people coming from the videos? Or do you mean even just
for him?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean is I'm saying you're not going to make money off of the YouTube channel from ad revenue.
Yeah, right.
And so I did say to him, hey, you should probably have some sort of coaching program or course or something that they can buy from you that's not ad revenue, because you're not going to make ad revenue.
Yep, exactly.
Unless something catastrophic happens.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like you're going to have to hit some sort of virality. Otherwise, you're not going to make money. So I wanted to be clear with him up front because I didn't want to lie to him. I didn't want him to think that he was going to be YouTube famous anytime soon.
Yep.
But he agreed because he had money to spend and was willing to give it a shot. And so again, it's 4 months, but that's a quarter of the year, right? And so he's paying me a significant chunk of money for now a quarter of the year. And we'll see. Maybe after 4 months, he goes, hey, it hasn't worked yet, but let's do 6 months. Let's, whatever that is. And so that's what I mean is when I'm saying, if you've been hit or if you're just getting started, look for those type of opportunities where you can say, hey, I'm a videographer. Here's what I can offer, add value to people's lives, to their businesses and to their personal lives, and say, hey, if you want this, I can help you get there. In me doing that, I'm going to charge you. And here are the expected return on investments, but I'll help you along the way and be upfront with people. Cause I'm not going to lie to that guy, right? I'm not going to say like, all right, dude, 4 months with me and you're going to be making, 20 grand a month on YouTube. Like, no, I can't promise that. You can't promise. Nobody can promise that.
Yeah,
right. I mean, you could work with Mr. Beast and he couldn't promise you that.
Yeah, exactly.
YouTube is a wonderful lottery machine. You can try, you can be consistent, you can play the algorithm game. But that's one way and that's one thing that I'm looking for is like the more people I can get who want to do that type of thing. Because again, his videos probably take 3 days of my month, right?
Yep.
Out of 30. And so if I can find 6 of him, 10 of him, if I can find 10 of him, I'd be making $500,000 a year.
Yeah. That would be a nice.
My month would be
business.
full, and that's probably unrealistic. That's what I mean is like, I'm able to work with him and still have 27 days out of the month that I have to work, right?
Yeah, right?
For other clients. And so, that's what I'm looking for. And that's what I would suggest to other people is go find businesses and entrepreneurs who need something like that and offer your value to them and show them what ROI they can receive or can expect.
Could even just be social content, like Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah, businesses. Hey,
it doesn't have to be like longer, kind of more in depth, like YouTube videos.
It doesn't have to be YouTube. Could be Facebook, Instagram videos. Absolutely, because every business needs a social presence, and you could say, hey, I'll come into your office. This is one, I mean, we've did this together at your house. Is a company reached out to me and said, hey, we're launching an Amazon product. We need a 60-second video, which isn't going anywhere on YouTube, right? But it was going on their Amazon page. And so it was like, oh yeah. And it was a pet product. And Dustin clearly has 2 dogs, as you've seen them romping around here in the back.
Little turds.
So we used the dogs and shot a product video. So that's the thing is like, there's so much to go around. It's just a matter of them finding you. And that's the hard part is you have to reach out to them. You have to make yourself known, but then offer your services and be open to it.
And it can take an investment, not just time, but maybe sometimes you're just going to have to do some for way cheaper than you would have hoped to just get your foot in the door. So
in fact, whenever there's somebody that I want to work for, I'll offer to do it for free. Which is funny because I'm at the point where I don't have to do that anymore. And sometimes I still do because I'll say, I want to work with you. So I want it to be so clear because I know once I get my foot in the door that like, they're not going to stop working with me because of, I'm confident in the way that I am and the way that I treat my clients and my friends and all that is like, hey, if you just let me give me a shot and I'll take care of you. And so if there's someone I really want to work with, I'll offer that to them or I'll give them a straight up price and be like, hey, your company looks awesome. You're making this product. I really want to make videos for you guys. Typically it would be like $2,000 for me to make this video, but if you'll give me 500 just to cover my costs, I'm going to show you what this video could look like. Something, you know, like just come right out with it. That makes their decision-making process so simple to go, yeah, we can do that. We have 500, or they come back and say, hey, we're not interested. And then you can decide, well, is it worth it for me to do it for free or whatever? But,
exactly.
And again, that all comes back to your portfolio. Because when people look at my portfolio, I have some big names, some big people on my website, in my portfolio. So when people see me offer them something for free or for cheap, it's not like, oh, this guy clearly doesn't know what he's doing. It's like, oh, he's worked with that company and that person. Like, I know those people. And so it's easier. Again, content is king.
Yeah,
right?
Content is king. I want to bring up something that I'm curious about your opinion, and because I already know what my answer is. But so what is your thought? You said like doing work for free. So what if somebody you want to work with says, instead of working for free, like I'll shout you out. Like there's some kind of influencer. They're like, I'll shout you out on my Instagram, my YouTube, whatever. What is your opinion? Because those are kind of different things when you offer it and somebody's asking for it essentially, but you are technically getting something in return. What are your thoughts?
It all depends. I'm not a big fan of that. For instance, I've thought about this. This is funny. Like if Dustin at the end of this was like, Tyler, how do people connect with you? I'd be like, don't. That's my answer. Because I'm not on Instagram. I hate Instagram. I'm not on Twitter. I don't have a YouTube channel yet. We'll see. Because everyone dreams of it, right?
Yeah, right.
But I'm on Facebook, and that's just for my friends and family. I don't want to connect with you on Facebook, right? And so for me, if somebody was like, hey, I'll shout you out on Instagram, I'd be like, that is worthless to me, right? So I'm in the exact same boat as my previous answer was that if I wanted to work with that person and I wanted that for my portfolio, I would do it. But I don't really think it's a good idea to ever work for a good shout out. And usually the people who approach you and ask that are the kind of people who they're not really your favorite clients anyways, because that's what they fish for is they say, hey, I have so many followers on Instagram. Will you give me, I mean, they do that in every facet of their life, right? Will you give me free food? Will you give me free vacation? Will you give me free place to stay? Will you give me free this, free that? Like, and that's just not the way to go about it. And quick story on this as well, because I think your answer is going to be
I have
similar.
a story as well. So I actually have two. Well, they kind of connect. So
one of my favorite things that I've done in my life, I've stopped doing it because I've been too busy, but I am just about to do it now, is I would reach out to Airbnb ads or Craigslist ads.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Of vacation rentals. And I would say, hey, your vacation rent, because it's one thing to have a house for sale, but houses are selling so quickly, they don't really need really good photos or really good video, right? Like houses fly off the market. But vacation rentals are for sale all year long. So it's really important for them to have good photos and sometimes video. So I would reach out to vacation rentals and say like, hey, I'm a videographer. I would love to come make a video of your property. Because again, I love real estate. I do so much in real estate. And I would say, hey, if I can come make a video of your property, will you just let me stay there for a weekend? And a lot of times they'd be like, would you pay the cleaning fee? Which is like $150 or whatever, right? And I'd be like, done. I'll pay the cleaning fee. And sometimes I offer that up front too. It's like, I'll pay your cleaning fee. Let me stay there for the weekend, with my wife and my friends. And I'll bring, depending on the property, if it's like a 1 bedroom, it'll be like, hey, just a little romantic getaway. But if it's like a 8 bedroom thing, it'd be like, who do I know that I can bring to this cabin or whatever, right?
That's kind of a good way, I think, to expand your portfolio if you don't have a ton thing. Yeah. I mean, you don't necessarily have to, put $150 up or whatever it is, but like, it's not a bad way to, then you get a benefit out of it and not just
the place has to be empty anyways for you to take the video, right? Or the photos. And so it's like, look, you already have to have it vacant and empty, and I have to be there, so why not let me stay overnight or at least 2 nights, make it worth me or whatever. So anyways, the reason I bring this up is because I'm going on a vacation in 2 weeks from now, because I'm almost dying of not having a vacation. And we rented this Airbnb, and I went ahead and paid for the whole amount, and I paid for it, and I haven't yet, but I'm going to send a message to the host and just say, hey, I'm looking forward to staying at your place. I just wanted to let you know I'm also a professional photographer. If you wanted some photos of your place, I'd be happy to do that for, a small discount. If you're interested, great. If not, no problem. And in that way, I've already paid, right? Like it's already on the table. And then if you want it, great. If not, no problem, which is a whole different scenario than somebody reaching out and being like, I don't want to pay you, but I will shout you out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, they're not even willing to pay. And that's where so if you said, no, I don't want the shout out, they're not going to work with you. They're not going to pay you at all. So usually that's the kind of person they are. And so I don't think that's a great idea. But weigh it for you. If your goal is to get more followers on Instagram, which is definitely a play that I don't, and neither do you play into. I mean, we have a buddy who's somewhat Insta famous, and he gets free cruises, and he gets free mattresses, and he gets free stuff because of his followers on Instagram. So,
and now that buddy works for Mr. Beast. Crazy enough.
He's the same guy. So
same guy.
If that's your play, go for it. But
just want to let you know, that's not how he started working for Mr. Beast, though. No. It wasn't because he was Instagram famous, but
because he started working with a different YouTuber.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Again, it's all about networking. It's all about your network.
Yep.
Yeah. That's my answer. That's a long answer to your question.
So I'm gonna tell a story about that as well. Because
I'm gonna grab a water.
Go for it. It's just gonna be me now. So no more Tyler. He's gone. He really just wanted to leave, is what it is. Oh, there go my dogs. Anyways, so my story involves 2 actually influencers, I guess you would call them. And this was back when I was doing more wedding videos. And one of the influencers, she was kind of like a fitness influencer slash like kind of like, I guess what's the word for it? She kind of like women's rights, like kind of power, not like women's rights, but you get the idea, like women power kind of like type of thing. And she was getting married. I actually helped Tyler film her engagement because he kind of knew her. She was one of his clients, but she was looking for a wedding videographer, and Tyler was like, oh, don't use me, like use Dustin. He's way better than me. And so when how's that water?
I don't know. I haven't tried it yet.
It's good water. Did you get it from the sink?
No, from the fridge.
Okay, he got it from the fridge.
In there. Dog hair.
You know what? It's for flavor. Is what it is.
I missed your story.
Actually, the best water is there's a container in the fridge.
Dang
you can take it out. It's cold, and then it refills itself. Yeah, it's a cool fridge. Anyways, back to my story.
Oh, I know.
So this it's your one client story that I'm telling that got married that I helped you film the engagement.
Gotcha. Yep. Yeah.
So I helped him film the engagement, and he was like, "Yeah, use Dustin. He's a wedding videographer. Because don't use me." And so she talked to me. And she was like talking about pricing, and like it was kind of like weird about it and stuff like that. And she's like, I really like you. Your stuff is awesome. I just want to let you know though, like I got this many followers on Instagram, and like I'll definitely put your video on there and like shout you out. For me, so I've kind of gotten this in the past with another person, but like I don't see the advantage to it. And I know that there's no advantage to it.
There is, just not for you.
There is, not for me. Yeah. Because more than likely, you're not going to get any followers from that, because their followers are there to follow her, not you. You may get 1, maybe a few. She had a few, how was it?
And
like 20,000 followers or something like that?
Yeah, they got a good amount.
Yeah.
But the way I see it is like, they're going to post your video anyways.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to post it anyways.
And if you do a good enough job, you don't need a shout out. You don't need to be tagged in the post, because if anyone's interested, they're going to comment and be like, oh my gosh, this video is amazing. Who made it for you?
Yes, exactly.
That's going to happen anyways, in my experience and in my opinion. And so doing the work for that is like, you're gonna post this. It's your wedding video.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna post your wedding video, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't post their wedding video?
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't really say anything about it. I was just like, yep, here's my prices, because I knew that there was anything advantageous about it, because from not just experiences for me, but just more about experiences with other people, more than likely you're not going to get any benefit out of it. You may, but it'll be small. And I want to use another example of an actual influencer that found me from YouTube. She actually has 1 million followers on TikTok. It's one of my weddings this year.
Really?
Yes. 1 million followers on TikTok, and she has 100,000. I just pulled her thing up because I didn't really know. She has 100,000 followers on Instagram. So they were looking for a wedding videographer, and it's kind of a little knowledge nugget, I'll call it. I actually recommend you put your videos on YouTube instead of like Vimeo, for example, because I switched all of my content over to YouTube because I got a copyright strike from Vimeo from some random thing I made in college, and I was like, this is ridiculous, and I gotta pay $60 a year just so I can upload one of my videos.
My Vimeo account is up for renewal like this week.
Yeah,
so.
I just use YouTube because, yeah, anyways, I transitioned everything over to YouTube. This person found me from YouTube, saw my videos, somehow found my website, because I don't even think I had it listed on there, emailed me and said, hey, I found this video and it's amazing. How do we book you, essentially? And I was like, okay, well, let me get like a little more info.
Here's pause. Lesson number 1, if you're watching, it should not have been that difficult for her to get in touch with them.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah, that's
easy as possible.
Yeah, that is a good thing. I've been really bad at like listing my website and everything. This is another thing. This is why I'm not a very good freelancer, because I'm really good at the creative part, but not very good at the business and like putting myself out there.
Which is the whole point we haven't covered.
Yeah, we haven't covered that.
We'll get there in a second.
We'll get there.
That should be the next question.
So yeah, she found me and like I got to know them, and I was like, oh yeah, they're legit. And I was like, well, what's your Instagram? Because I like to just kind of see what the couple is. And since she had found me from YouTube, I was like, I definitely want to do a Zoom call or a whatever FaceTime, just to make sure we can get to know each other. And yeah, you're legit and we're like a good fit. And yeah, when I looked her up, I was like, oh dang, like yeah, she has 100,000 followers on Instagram. At that time, she didn't have 1 million followers on TikTok, and yeah, they had no problem paying my prices or anything like that. They were just like, yep, we want you. We're good.
Where are they located?
Virginia.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, well,
I think I remember.
Actually, her and her husband, I think, or fiance, lives in Canada.
Oh, wow.
But her family's from Virginia, I think. They're having the wedding in Virginia, but they live in Canada. So anyways, that's just kind of the point I wanted to make, is that someone who wants to shout you out to pay you, you're not going to see any benefit from that. And even though it might be exciting, unless you just want to work with the person, that's kind of a different story.
If that's worth it.
That's
the answer to almost every question is like, it's up to you. If it's worth it to you, great. But as a general rule, you're not going to, like you said.
Yeah, you probably won't see any benefit out of it, because someone who wants you, no matter what they're following or the influence is, they're going to just pay your pricing.
Because your content is your king.
Exactly.
Right? So if your content's good enough, it doesn't matter how, and that's the best rebuttal to anybody who's like, oh, I've got 50,000 followers, I'll shout you out. And you go, cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Here's my price.
Yeah, here's my price. Yep.
I don't know. It's a little bit of a newbie move to like accept stuff like that, and which is fine, because sometimes
it's totally fine. Maybe you want that in your portfolio though. Like there's all the time there's people that I just want to work with, and I'm like, hey, I'll cut you a little bit of a deal because I just really want to work with you. So.
For instance, I've done some shoots for Donny Osmond, who you probably don't know who he is, but he was a really big deal in like my parents' age. It was like Michael Jackson and Donny Osmond when they were kids, right? It was like the Jackson 5 and the Osmond 7. I don't know. So I've done some work for Donny Osmond today in 2020, and I was like, I'll make this video for free. And Donny Osmond told me, he was like, no, I won't allow you to do that. And I was like, but I want to, because I wanted to work I didn't want there to be any shroud. Like I wanted to be able to say to all of my followers, I worked with Donny Osmond, and he wouldn't let me. Again, great example of like,
exactly.
Had he come and been like, will you do this for free because I'm Donny Osmond? I probably would have, but I would have had a different taste in my mouth.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So I wanted to, offered it, and he said no. So that's how I suggest, is like the people who see your value, they don't want a discount.
Yes, exactly. Anyways, where were we going to segue to this? Was it marketing yourself?
Yeah, we're going
in
to segue
2021?
into like running a business as a freelancer versus being creative.
Yes, exactly. Because this is the part where Tyler says, yeah, I'm better than him at like video stuff.
He is.
But I think Tyler's way better. He's also better when it comes to like, he is. He's also better, in my opinion, too, when it comes to just like people in general. Like going up to people and like engaging with them. Most of the time when you meet me for the first time, I'm kind of more just like closed off. I think
really
I'm
weird.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit, I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I'm just kind of the weird, like, creative guy. Like, oh, okay. And like, I'm just here to do my own job. And then I'll open up eventually. But like, you know, Tyler's more just like, hey, comes in, like, takes charge. Like, he's really good at that. And so I think that's why he's done a good job at the business side and networking and all that type of stuff.
Which is also why I think you are more comfortable in your full-time corporate job, is because you're like, hey, I just get to do my thing. I don't have to try very hard. True. I show up, I shoot, I edit, I stay in my lane, I stay in my box, my cubicle, or now at home because you get to work at home.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because I'm not the only one there. There's actually, let's see, there is 3 other video producers at my level, and then I have my boss as well. And most of the time when we go on shoots too, they always hand me the camera. They're always like, I'm going to have you shoot this, even on their shoots, because we help each other out on our shoots. And he's just like, I'm going to have you run camera. So it's kind of funny that you say that, because it translates not only with Tyler, but other people. So anyways,
being freelance is just as, it's just as hard to create the content of being like, oh, cameras and lenses and grabbing your focus and getting your aperture and your settings all right, and then being able to color grade and edit. Like, that is one whole aspect of it. And the entire other aspect is like marketing yourself, meeting clients and keeping clients and take customer service. Like, you're running a business, right? And that's a very difficult part of the business. A lot of people don't really understand, because especially in our industry, Dustin kind of poked fun at himself, but he's nowhere near as bad as some people we've seen. Like, I remember there was this kid we went to college with. I don't even know his name. He's probably watching. I don't care. But he wore a Toy Story alien hat.
Yeah, this is true.
And all the time, the green aliens from Toy Story, and it like came down to like his mid chest or ribs, right? Yep. And it was the weirdest thing. Yeah. And he wore it every day. And I was like, who's this Yahoo wearing this Toy Story? And like, I have no doubt in my mind he still wears stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
So there's this.
So he'd be a good live streamer character.
Exactly. There's this stigma though in like creative filmmaking that like everybody has beards and wears beanies and like.
And if you're a running gun solo videographer, you wear YouTuber, you have flat brim hats and RGB lights. There's no RGB lights here though today. There's
all this stigma, right, of like, oh, creative types, wear tight jeans with the cuffs rolled up. And there's so many stereotypes. We could go, they sit at Starbucks and read a book, and they watch foreign films with the subtitles off because they want the beauty of the, all that kind of garbage. And that's weird. Like, I'm sorry if you're watching this channel, you're like, I love all those things. Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
To the normal person, right? To the normal corporate person. And if that's your goal, to work with normal, I don't want to say normal, that's a bad word. If your goal is to work with corporate business type people, then you need to come off as a corporate business type person.
I guess the point about that whole thing is not that you don't have to not like those things in order to like be successful. It's more, you got to get out of your comfort zone in order to be successful. Like, it's just like the same thing with being a YouTuber. If you're like, oh, I want to be a YouTuber, but I suck on camera. Yeah. You're going to have to get outside your comfort zone and learn how to be comfortable in front of camera.
Right. So there are many clients I work with and many gigs that I get, because when I show up the first time to meet with a client, I will always wear a button-up collared shirt with a suit jacket. I'll still wear jeans and I'll have it all untucked or whatever, but I look so freaking professional compared to a lot of the people they've spoken to. My biggest client, who pays me, again, probably 50% of my yearly income, he hired me, and he tells me this all the time. He's like, you're the only person who dressed up to meet with me. I met with 4 other video people, and you're the only one who dressed up. Right? And now I don't do that every time I like see him, but
I don't even dress up when I freelance for Tyler and do his just kidding. It depends on the event, but
I'll tell you what to wear.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when I hire Dustin, he's representing me. Yep. And that's one of my biggest concerns, is whenever I do hire people I don't know, if Dustin's unavailable or whatever, I like, hey, you need to look a certain way. You need to smell a certain way. I've hired people who smell, and it's like, oh my gosh, please stay away from my client.
That deodorant on, please.
Oh my gosh. So I mean, again, I dress up to meet with my clients in a suit jacket and everything, but then I also have black polos made with my company name on the, right here. And that's all I wear anytime I'm shooting. That's it. I never wear t-shirts. I never wear anything else. I'm always in a polo and jeans. And like, that's my uniform, right? And that gets me so many clients because they're not afraid to approach me. They want to talk to me. They know I'm going to look a certain way.
You also look like you're a part of the gig, I guess.
Yeah,
you look like you look the part, I guess.
And if the event calls for it, right? Like I'll dress up and wear a suit jacket, but rarely, because that's the thing, is people are used to seeing people in black clothing.
Yep.
Kind of be behind the scenes. But that's a big deal, is being able to say like, I don't know, to being able to act like that, and then being able to approach people. Like I'm huge on networking.
Hey. Sorry, I don't want, my dogs are just running in here. I don't want them to mess up all these cables right here.
He's yelling at his dogs, not
I
me.
mute myself, but I can't. Hey.
But just knowing, like, representing yourself, being, used to all that kind of stuff, and being approachable. I mean, I could spend an entire day networking and meeting people, and I call it a good day. I could not do any editing or any shooting, but if I've met a bunch of people and been like, oh, hey, let's go to lunch. Let's, grab a quick cup of coffee, whatever it is, like, that's so worth it. So it's such a good use of time if you're going to be freelance. Now, if you're not to there yet, then figure out how to make good content, because that's more important than anything. But once you're in that vein, figure out how to get clients and to meet people, because that's the point, right? Because I could be really great at what I do and make the most incredible content, but if I don't know anybody who's going to pay me to make that content, then I'm wasting my time, right? So that's
I think that's a great point. Look the part. I mean, my part, I guess, I would still wear button-ups. I guess I'm kind of known for wearing my hats because I would always wear hats.
And I'm not saying like all hats are bad,
right. Because like I go on set all the time. I'm wearing a hat. A lot of times I'm wearing a button-up or a black shirt.
Just don't make it a Toy Story alien hat, right?
Exactly.
That's what we're saying.
Yep.
Like, don't come dressed as a warlock.
Unless you're a YouTuber, you can do whatever you want. So
that's the thing, is if you make enough money to whatever, you don't care what people think. Like,
doesn't matter.
Get a face tattoo. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's actually funny. Just for kicks and giggles, it was kind of more of a joke. I was like, hey, it's imperative that you tell me the future. It's imperative that you tell me what my decision is for this. And it was like, do I go no hat or hat for the future of this channel? Because if you don't know, like I used to have hair, and I have hair, but now I just shave my head just because it's easier and I'm lazy, I guess. So there's my little info on my character.
But the best answer was, there's enough bald white guys on YouTube.
Yeah, that was the answer.
That was the best answer.
And people said that I looked more friendly with my hat on.
Did they say that?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
So apparently I just look angry and scary now with the bald head, and I couldn't be successful.
Sure.
So that's
it's like a hitman kind of look if you with the head and you just like frown a little bit.
Yeah, it is. Someone said I look like Jason Statham, and it was the best compliment of my life.
I'll take that.
And
okay.
Yeah,
with a little bit of facial hair.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah, do that right at the camera, right there. Yeah, I see it.
Now I just need to learn like kung fu or whatever he does.
Whatever Jason Statham does.
He fights.
He drives cars off of cliffs.
Yeah, Transporter was just what popped in my head. The first one. Oh, it's a good movie.
That's a good one.
I feel like we're gonna have to do
Fast and Furious.
Oh, Fast and Furious too, but.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like he's better in just Transporter. Not the second and third, just the first.
Are you a big movie buff?
I wouldn't call myself a movie buff, but I do like movies.
I mean, everybody likes movies.
Right. I guess is like...
Because I'm not. I think that's a thing, again, in our industry.
That's an interesting thing about Tyler, actually.
I hate...
He thinks movies are a waste of time.
No, I don't think... I think TV shows are a waste of time.
Yeah, TV shows,
because movies at least have a start and a finish within a 2 or 3 hour period, right? But TV shows are like... Am I watching this for 8 months? Yep. What's going on here?
There was actually an interesting video I watched. This is totally unrelated to film, by the way.
Curious. Yeah, well, it is related to film, because some film people are like, if you don't watch movies, you're not a film person.
Yeah, and like, so it was I'm gonna try my best to explain it because it's kind of like scientific and whatnot. But when you're doing something that you don't like time passes slowly, right?
Yeah.
But then when you're doing something you love, like you're hanging out with friends or whatever, time seems to fly by. Right. And the older you get, like those times that were slow feel like they still took forever, and like you tend to forget them though. But the times that went by fast are like very refreshing, and like you have a ton of memories from them, right? But then the only thing that makes that you feel like
you're not doing a great job
forgetful,
this, by the way.
Yeah, the things, yeah, I know. The time where you feel like you've wasted your life though, and you didn't have any fulfilling memories is when you're watching TV or watching a movie.
Everybody feels like that?
Not everybody, but that's like a general
brain psychology.
Yeah, brain thing that's happens with like TV and whatnot. It's not like you should stop watching TV and whatnot like that, because people get fulfillment out of it, but it's just like a common thing or a random fact about life.
Because I'm trying to think of like TV that I enjoy watching. I enjoy the show Lost. I could watch that. Have
you watched Breaking Bad?
Okay. No.
Oh my gosh.
That was my first thought.
You should at least.
I've tried to watch Breaking Bad, and I got like 3 episodes in, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Oh man.
And I think we've talked about it, and you were like, it gets so much better. And I was like,
so
bro,
good.
they kept that dude in the basement for 2 episodes. Just kill him already. Yeah. Oh my god.
Well, that's the thing is like,
I know it gets better. But
it's not even that it gets better. It's just like
it's so good.
It does that, and like, oh man, yeah, one of my favorite shows.
Here's the thing: is I've read most of Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
he reads things that he doesn't watch, like video games.
I've read all of Game of Thrones.
He'll read
not
like
the books. I've read the recaps of the TV shows.
Yeah, even video games. So like, read the ending, and he's like, yeah, I might buy it and play it, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Maybe not. All video games.
Not so much video games, but if I don't know. If it's a video game that's been out for a while and I'm not sure about it, I'll be like, like Witcher 3.
Yeah,
I was like, is this my jam?
That one's a tough one. Yeah.
Right? Because it takes a lot to get into.
Yeah,
and I was
it does.
Like, this is
big
this
investment.
Is a 100-hour game, and if I need to know if it's worth my time to jump in or not.
Yep.
Whereas a game like PUBG, Apex, or like even a Grand Theft Auto or whatever, like I know I can jump into that, play the story, or play a few rounds and be out, and it's no big deal.
I did convince him that God of War is one of the greatest games ever.
Oh my gosh, God of War was so good.
Yeah, so good.
And I'm so glad you made me play it.
Yep.
But at the same time, it was a linear story-based game that had a beginning and an ending, and it didn't take hours and hours of RPG elements.
Right. This is when this is back when Tyler had a lot more time on his hand. He was like, I'm bored. And I'm like, I have a PlayStation 4. You should just play God of War. It's on there because it's such a good game. And he's like, I don't know about it. And I was like, no, just try it.
Give it a shot. I had enough time. It was good. When I first went freelance, I started playing so many more video games. I started playing like Zelda on N64. And I was like, I should just like play through this. And I remember I got through I played it for like a week, and then I got so busy that I never picked it back up.
Yep.
I love Zelda, obviously, though. But
yep. Breath of the Wild is a good one. Sorry, we kind of got off topic there.
No, I want to keep talking about video games.
I mean, I would love to keep talking about video games, but I'm a video game. By the way, if you would like to come hang out in a cool place, I'm giving a plug for my Twitch channel. I do also do video stuff on there. For example, I guess I'll kind of give a little teaser of what's going on. We'll get even more in a teaser. Me and Tyler, he mentioned that we're going to be shooting some stuff today. What we shoot today, I'm actually going to be editing on the Twitch channel, but on there as well. I don't just chat or edit videos, but I also play video games if you're interested and want to hang out. Let's see. What else do you think we need to cover, or should we just segue into questions, or should we summarize?
If you have any questions, if you're here, definitely shout them out.
There is a few questions that I noticed. Let me turn up the brightness on my phone. Okay. So, budget live stream gear.
Oh, yeah. Lord, are you still here?
Yeah, we're going to move into questions. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them.
Budget live stream gear. If you're going to do it for a client, I would say there is nothing. Yeah, he is still here. He just posted.
He's hardcore.
I love it. I love it, man. What's up, dude? Budget. If you're going to do it for clients, the Blackmagic A10 Mini, that is ATEM, the Blackmagic A10 Mini, there is no equivalent. Don't look. Like, that's one of those things where it's like, don't even bother. If you're going to do it for clients, it is a 4-input switcher where you can put 4 HDMIs in and then plug it into USB to a computer, and then it will trick the computer into thinking it's a webcam. Yep. So you can run 4 camera streams through this thing, and it's like $300, I think. I mean, buy that. If you're going to do it for clients, buy that immediately, and I guarantee your first live stream gig will be paid for. It will pay for the A10 Mini, right?
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I've done a few gigs when Tyler was out of town in his little basement studio with the A10 Mini. It's pretty sweet.
It's incredibly simple, incredibly easy. It can key. I mean, it's amazing. Now, if you're not going that hardcore and you want to hook up a single camera to your computer, it doesn't have a brand. I'm going to look it up, but it's on Amazon. And if you just Google capture card, HDMI capture card, literally there's no brand, but it's $20. Have you seen this?
I haven't, but
this guy right here, it's $11. Oh my gosh, look at that.
I think we've actually have some of those at work.
Have one
we tried
here,
them.
I'm gonna see if we can get it on the.
I could pull it up on the computer, or you can do that. It's not autofocus because it's an S1H. There's no brand, by the way. Tyler's saying. Look at the peaking. There you go. Yeah, you're on me, I think.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Love them S1H's autofocus, right?
Oh boy. All right. So that capture card, if you just Google on Amazon, if you just say HDMI capture card, that thing comes up for $12. It's a single one. It doesn't have a brand. Because it's not Elgato. Elgatos are like 100, 150 bucks.
I honestly, for live streaming though, I wouldn't recommend an Elgato.
Really?
Because the Elgato is focused more for like people that game because it doesn't have a lot of support. So for example, when I got the A7S III, it does not work with the Elgato until they possibly do a firmware update, which they may never do.
It's just straight HDMI.
That's what I thought too. So if you're gonna get a more name brand one, you don't trust $12 Amazon capture cards.
That's the thing is I would trust this. But I can't believe it works, but it does.
Yeah, I would.
It works well enough. It's not great. It doesn't do 4K 60. I don't think it does 4K at all. Actually.
Yeah, it probably doesn't.
And I think it's only USB 2.0, not 3.0.
Oh.
But still, it's still good enough.
Right.
The thing. For 1080p video.
To start, for sure. Yeah,
If
it's a great thing to start.
Started, that guy for a single camera.
Yeah, or if you just need to use your DSLR or mirrorless as a webcam, that's a great option
for Zoom
to go.
calls or whatever.
I would recommend the Atomos Connect though. So Atomos came out with one. It's like $80. It's actually cheaper than the Elgatos. I think it's a better capture card because the Sony just hooked right up and it works just fine. So no problem at all.
Lord said he has one of those already. And
wow!
Yeah,
what a legend.
So yeah.
So for those who don't have,
if you're looking to upgrade Everlord, the A10 Mini will get you 4 and is so great, and that'll run audio through it too. I mean, that thing's so amazing. And then I just use whatever I normally record. I have a wireless Sennheiser Lav kit. I'll plug that into the camera and then run audio through the HDMI into the capture card. So that's what I do for live streams.
And we've actually done this at work too. So when COVID hit and we had to transition some things at work as well, we actually did the same thing. We had to use my Elgatos because we didn't have any either. Literally, I had 3 Elgatos.
They're all sold out.
Yeah, they're all sold out everywhere. I was actually going to flip them after I bought some Atomos Connects, but now they're back to normal price.
I haven't seen the Atomos. All right, we got a question here from Tony. I want to read out.
Let me just go get through a few of these.
Okay, quick.
Watching you while my arms and legs are inside the chairs. Good. You don't want to lose a limb.
Oh, I was like, is that? I got it now. I got it. I was slow on the uptake.
We'll get to Tony next. So Lord said, how do you find clients' information to email? Like for weddings, how do you find your couples? For clients, how do you find their information to email? So one thing I did, so Instagram is a great tool for this. People will just find you.
For weddings?
For weddings, yeah.
Instagram is the wedding place.
People will just message you if they find your work and they want to work with you. You can run ads on Instagram as well or Facebook for weddings.
Have you done that?
I have done a little bit of that. I was experimenting with it last year and then COVID hit. So
you stopped?
So I stopped. I did get a few inquiries from it, but nobody booked. And I'm assuming because it was because of COVID. The thing that I did and probably got the most clients from are 2 things. Some of it requires an investment. Some of it does not. So networking is the one. I was good friends with a wedding photographer that would always recommend me. Like I was her #1 videographer. So I got a lot of recommendations from her. So networking with some people that are in the wedding industry or photographers for that matter, or even just wedding vendors. So like events places, people who do floral, like stuff like that. Because a lot of times they'll show up and they'll be like, we're also looking for a videographer. Do you know anybody? And then they tell you, right? Some places won't, you have to like pay money to be there or whatever, but some don't. And then Instagram. Great, cool. Gosh, I lost my train of thought.
Hello?
Networking and... Man,
I would say if you're reaching out to a business,
I lost my train of thought.
you can always just go to the business's website and hit the contact us page, but that's the worst way because you're probably going to go to customer service. But oftentimes if you do that, like if you have no other ways, just say, hey, business, I'm a videographer. I'd love to work for you. Can you connect me to the marketing person in your company or whatever? Then most customer service people will be like, hey, I'll forward you onto the right thing. Another way though, the best way is if you want to work with a company, find somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows, however you have to do it to say, can you get me in the door? Because if somebody else recommends you, it's so much stronger to say like, hey, I want to work with this company. Do I know anybody who can connect me to anybody in the company, right? Because then they can point you in the right direction.
Yep, exactly.
What were you gonna
so
say?
I remembered what I was going to say. The second thing I did is I did bridal shows. Now, bridal shows are going to be harder to do right now because
there's no bridal shows
there's
going
not
on.
bridal shows going on. Yeah, they actually were bothering me this year, and I was cutting back on bridal shows. They were like, we're still doing the bridal show, and I was just like, yeah,
live
sorry.
or virtual?
No, live.
Really?
Yeah.
When?
This month.
Oh.
But well, hold on. There's more story to it. I was like, I'm not really doing it. My photographer friend, she contacted me and she's like, hey, are we doing the bridal show this year? And she's like, I know you're cutting back and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do it this year because it does cost money. It can be expensive, especially the ones that are probably going to get you more like clients. They're probably going to cost more. Cheaper ones, you probably won't see as many people and you may be less likely to see get clients or get couples, I guess, to book you. But yeah, they rescheduled it. And so even if I would have done it,
they rescheduled this.
They rescheduled this one. Yeah,
I was like,
they got to the month, and I think just people weren't signing up, and like, and it wasn't a good idea. I don't think for January, anyways. I think maybe they're doing it February, but they rescheduled it to like April or May or something like that.
Weddings still aren't in full swing.
So bridal shows can be a good way. I've heard of people also getting success with like signing up with Wedding Wire, something like that, because people will search wedding videographer and those websites that pay for that, they can recommend you. Anyways, so those are some options for you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to Tony.
Martin talked about real quick because I'm not going to say much about this. But Martin said Sling Studio. Those look really slick, but I haven't used those.
Yeah, I've heard of those. We've talked about them at work.
Wireless. They look sweet.
Yep. I think it's kind of pricey though, from what I saw.
Yeah, I don't know how much it costs, but those do look sick. Good idea, Martin. All right, so Tony, I hope you're still here. We took a second to get your question. It says, hey guys, I came in late. Can you talk about budgeting video? I find myself trying to throw in things for free just to get the gig. How do I charge? Great question.
That's a good question.
I'm still figuring it out, honestly.
and when I was freelance too, even when I do freelance thing, it's hard to give somebody a price.
For sure. Yeah. Most of the time, I've been doing this long enough that I just kind of have a gut feeling of like, this project is going to cost this. And I just kind of go with that. But I also have an hourly rate of what I assume. Oh, he is still here. Good, Tony. I'm glad you're still here. I have an hourly rate. I charge $100 an hour. And so when somebody comes to me and says, hey, here's what my gig is going to look like, I kind of estimate, okay, if I'm going to be shooting for 3 hours, I'm going to edit for, let's say 2. I'm pretty fast at editing because I don't go as hard as Dustin does. So I'm like, all right, if I shoot for 3, edit for 2, then let's add on another hour or 2. We're at $600-$700, right? And that's kind of where I go. I also think, okay, well, my day rate is X, right? Which again is always fluctuating based off of how busy I am. Because my day rate used to be $600, went up to $650, and then I'm so busy right now, my day rate is $1,000. And so if someone's saying, I just want to work with you for a whole day or something like that, right? Or what's it look like if we're going to shoot for 7 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours or whatever? I'm like, well, I'm going to travel to you for an hour. We're going to shoot for 6 hours, travel back home for an hour. That's a full 8-hour day, right? So there's $1,000. And then because we've been together for so long, it's going to take me another day to edit your stuff, right? And I want to make my full $1,000. So I'll say, hey, $2,000, right? So I kind of have, those are my 2 ways of going about it, of saying my hourly rate, my day rate, how many hours or how many days is it going to take me to complete your project, and go from there. But as far as throwing in things for free, so he says like a corporate video.
This is something too, while you're kind of thinking about it a little bit. This is something too, I think you'll figure out as you go. Because even for me, it's hard to know what your value is when you're kind of not even just first starting out.
Whatever somebody will pay.
Exactly.
Right? You have no idea what that is.
Yeah, exactly. Because your value could be like somebody could pay you $10,000 for like a day.
And you never would have thought of that.
Yeah, you never would have thought of that. But you kind of figure out like your market and what people are willing to pay and what you are willing to do and what your actual value is. And your value comes down to a lot of like, you know, how do you deliver videos as far as like the quality and like what kind of a gear do you even have, how you shoot, you know.
One of my favorite things too is to any client, if they're approaching me, I'll say, hey, can you send me a video that you like? What are we trying to mimic, right? And if they're like, hey, here's our competitor's video, and they'll send it to me, that gives me a great idea to understand like, oh, we'll get to that in a second. If they send me a video and I go, oh my gosh, they want Snoop Dogg, they want a bunch of After Effects, they want, you know, music, yada, 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 yada. What's that going to take for me to create something like that, right? So that's one of my favorite questions I always ask is like, what are some videos you like that you want to make our video look like? And if they're like, I have no idea, then you can say, hey, well, here's something I did similar and here's the price point that it was done at, right? Like, hey, if you were... I lost my headphones.
You can't hear me anymore.
I can't hear me. So having that, there I am. Having that example of like, oh, you know, this is something that's been done before is great. So he also jumped in and said, hey, I offered a client free photography of their product with the product video. I think that's an incredible strategy because A, it then sets you apart, takes an extra load off of their hands, even if they don't want it. In fact, I did that with the commercial we shot at Dustin's house with his dogs, and they ended up not using it. I did actually say I was going to charge them. I said, hey, it's an extra $150 for photography. And I took some photos, but I wasn't super happy with them. And then when I saw the photos they had done in a studio, I was like, honestly, the stuff you have is probably better. And they were like, yeah, probably. And we just scratched it. But it was on the table, right? But as far as saying like, hey, I'll also take photos. Now, here's the caveat with that. It's an awesome value add if they need photography, but if you're not that great at photography or if it's not quite there, then it sometimes can make you look like you're not actually that good at video because you're we call it the master of none, right? Yep. If you're like, oh, I do photos and video, I also can do some graphic design and I do a little bit of website, like you're just kind of good at everything. You're not an expert at any one thing.
Yep.
And so just be conscious of that and aware of that. But I think it's a great strategy to say like, because photos for me are so simple. Like it always blows my mind. Like, bro, I can take a quick photo and then touch it up in Photoshop and send it over to you and charge you $50 to $100. And like, you're happy, I'm happy. Or if I can do that for free and that's what gets me the video gig, like absolutely offer that.
Yeah, that's actually a good point as well, is like, I used to be kind of very jack of all trades.
Before you answer, Tony, what do you mean you were pandering too much? Come back to that. And then they decided to put it off as if they're not working with you at all. Just clarify while Dustin answers what he was going to say. Clarify that,
so I as I've gotten older, I've started to realize what I'm best at and what I like doing. So back in the day, I used to pretty much only edit, and I did a lot of broadcasting before that and live event stuff. But when I got into actual like video, because that's what I wanted to do, I did a lot of editing, and I like editing, but I had to do a lot of motion graphics as well. And now the older I get, I don't love doing motion graphics.
He's very good at it though.
I can do it. Like if you need me to do it, I can do it. Like I have to do it at my job all the time, and I need to put in like text and stuff like that. Putting in text is totally different than like actual adding motion graphics, if you know what I mean. But I can do all that stuff, but I've really cut back on doing that stuff because I just don't like doing it, and I don't think I'm as good as other people. And same goes with like photos. I like photos, kind of like what Tyler said. Like to me, it's not that it's easy. There is tedious work that is involved with it, and like, but I'm just not as good at it as video. And I've learned that like, oh, if people are gonna hire me now, it's pretty much simple editing, like cutting, because I can cut really fast, and I can also film really well as well. So
yeah,
make something look really high quality for a lower budget, I guess.
It goes back to knowing your value and being like, hey, if you want me to work for you, I make videos, right? Yep. That's what I do. Now, if you need photography, I can offer that. And that's what I say now that I'm established and kind of have quite a few clients and get quite a few requests. I will say like, I have a photographer on my team.
Yeah.
And that might be me, but I also have contracted photographers that like, if the gig became available and I needed somebody who was better than me, I would pay them and then keep, like that's how business works. Is you go, hey, which is what I do with Dustin. Is I have more clients than Dustin has because he's comfortable in his full-time job. So I'll come to Dustin and say, hey, I've got a client who needs a video. I'm too busy, but let me hire you. What's your cost? And he'll go, I'll charge you $750. And I'll go, great. Then I'm going to charge the client $1,000. I take $250 for, I don't want to say doing nothing because I found the client and I worked with them, right? But then I'll pay Dustin. He's happy. I'm happy. Client's happy. Everybody's happy. Like that's the kind of stuff you can do. So I don't think that offering too much or pandering, as you called it, is like a bad thing. But you want to make sure that you know your value and that you're comfortable in offering those things. So I'll offer. People come to me all the time. Are like, oh, do you do websites? And I'll say, well, I don't, but someone on my team does because my brother makes websites. Now, I don't really work with my brother very often, but I will hand a client off to my brother and say, hey, make them a website, charge them whatever you want, and then give me $100 or make me food sometimes. So that's one strategy to go about it.
Food is a good motivator to doing things, by the way. If you need somebody on your set, at least feed them.
Oh, at least feed them. At least feed them.
Yeah.
That's the bare minimum. But I mean, same kind of thing goes for like taking care of your people. If you do hire somebody, I pay Dustin on time every time and I float the payments. Like sometimes I'll make Dustin wait until the client pays me, but as much as I can, I'll be like, as soon as you're done, as soon as you're ready, I will pay you. Or even before you're done, like boom. And then we have this good relationship where like, he's never like, oh my gosh, Tyler hasn't paid me for that thing yet.
Which
like,
is all the time.
But because then I have to say, like, we made a commercial. If you've seen it, the pen video.
The pen video is actually, it's not necessarily a project that was only produced for the channel.
No, it was my client who needed the video. And then I hired Dustin. And because because the only reason I hired Dustin is because he wanted to shoot it on his anamorphic.
Yep.
And so we shot the pen video, the Generations piece. It was really amazing. And the client took 4.5 months to pay me, but I paid Dustin the day he was done.
Yep.
I was like,
I did do it like the day we filmed.
Wait, yeah, I paid you. I paid you the day we filmed, and you happened to edit the same night, which was funny. Yep. But I think Dustin was like ready to edit it. A,
yeah,
he was excited, but B, because I'd already paid you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's something to be said for like when a client pays me before I'm done with a video, I'm like, I have to get this video done, right? Yep. And so.
I feel like it's not always the case. There are people that will pay and like they don't, they take a lot longer to get something done. But that is just me, like both of us personally, we're the same way. Like when somebody pays me, it's like, oh, I got to get that done like ASAP.
I got to take care of them because they took care of me.
Yeah, exactly.
So it goes the same way with clients as well as with your freelance friends and your photographer, if you're that way too, right? Where can you see my work, Tyler? I'm on my burner account, but just know that this is me.
I can type it if you want to.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. He's on his burner. He has a burner account, and he comments on some of the videos, kind of ridiculous things. So if you ever see one of the ridiculous if you ever see one of these comments from this person, it's just know it's Tyler.
So I just put Tony. That's my company name. So if you go to cardinalredproductions.com, that's my company's website. And I didn't type. Stepped on a dog. I didn't type the whole link, but Cardinal, like the bird, red, the color, productions.com, www. That's my portfolio. That's my website. You can see what I've done.
See who he's worked for.
And let me know what you think. I'd actually be really interested to hear some feedback. So if you watch that or if you comment back later or whatever. He also asked if I know how to get rid of...
Yeah, do you know how to get rid of that tick box?
Absolutely
tick
not.
box?
Absolutely not.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what tick box they're talking about. I'm a A7S3 guy. Although I'm jealous of whenever Dustin shoots S1H, I'm like, man, that looks so good. So I am not a Panasonic guy like Dustin is. We're both leaving the frame for a second.
That tick box. See that? See that square tick box? Yeah. Can't get rid of it. Well, you can get rid of it by making it tiny and putting it in the corner. But then when you zoom in and we want to get focus, it'll zoom in on that corner.
If you turn off AF though, is it still there?
Yep. Still in manual right now.
I have no idea.
It literally it plagues Panasonic. Been talking about it forever. It's yeah. And then a lot of people, it's funny, a lot of people will be like, oh, I know how to get rid of that. And they'll tell me and I'll go and do it. And I'm like, nope, that's not it.
I did that
you don't
one time.
understand.
There was a YouTuber who was like, how do I set custom white balance on the A7S? And I was like, I do that all the time. And he was like, you do? And then I was like, I realized, I was like, oh, No, I guess I don't. I did something. I like said it, but I didn't set it in the way that he was asking. So it's funny.
Yeah, that
internet's funny.
Yeah, Tyler is, Tyler was like me before I owned an S1H. We were both kind of similar. We were both Sony guys. We owned only Sony.
You're still kind of a Sony guy.
I am a Sony guy. I have an A7S III literally sitting here in the frame. There it is. But I just put it there because, you know what I noticed?
I don't think people knew what that was.
Like right there.
The color palette.
Yeah, when I put this in, it like covered it. So
I've never used a color palette in my life.
Yeah,
which is also why I'm not very good at coloring.
Actually, you should watch my most recent video.
I should watch all your videos.
I told you.
Figure out how to be good at this, but I'm not.
Yeah, and
I'm too busy.
My most recent
dressing up for clients.
My most recent video was how to expose and color grade log.
Is that the one you texted to me and you were like, "Here are my secrets"?
Yeah, exactly. Because Tyler was like, "What are your secrets?"
Dude,
like, I don't understand.
I'll watch Dustin's videos and I'm like, "Why am I still so terrible at what I do?"
He's so terrible, but he made way more money than me. And
how am I so busy making so much money, and my stuff looks like garbage compared to what Dustin creates?
I think that's actually kind of a good point to bring up as well, and it's something that I took a while to figure out: is don't spend too much time on a project because it's not where you want it. Do enough to make it good.
That's the story of my life, man.
Do enough to make it good, but don't waste your time. Like wedding videos, for example, I used to spend way too long on.
But your wedding videos are incredible.
They're pretty good.
They're amazing.
And then, but now I've simplified things, and I still make it good, but I don't waste my time because time is money, and when you're a freelance.
And I will rebuttal that only with this: is that I think the videos you put out. This is why I'm so jealous of you, is because your videos look so good that when you post them, people go, "Who made that? I need him." Whereas when I post videos or when my clients post their videos that I made for them, they go, "Oh, that looks convenient. I also am in need of video," right? Whereas, and that's just different. But I've made a business off of that, right? Because I find clients who need quantity, lots of videos, and then work with them.
Yeah.
Whereas you or somebody else is like, I mean, you could make just as much money as me making a fourth as many videos, but you'd spend more time on each video.
Yeah, exactly.
Making it look better than mine.
Yeah.
Whereas
exactly.
I'm like, just get it done. I'm like, I'll make like an online course for somebody that has like 72 videos, and I'll be like, yeah, for sure, I can do that. Like, no problem. That'll take me 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
And just like, and it's like, no, we're doing the lightest grade. Like I don't even shoot an S-Log because it's too much work, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just like cranking through, like, as long as they look like people and not aliens, like, get this thing done. And that's what I do. So
yeah, so watch my most recent video. Then you can get my opinion on shooting in log.
He asked you, I don't even know what words you said right there.
Panasonic support is no good either. I've heard
not that one, the next one.
I mean, I'm getting to it. That's the thorn with the S1H. Yeah, I think is simple answer. I mean, the thing I do, I've never had to contact like Panasonic support, but because most of the time I just do things on my own anyways. But I do think that their support as far as firmware updates though are far and above any manufacturer. Because like Sony, I don't think I've
updated my Sony.
Yeah, like I know that there is updates.
Yeah,
but not a ton. It's not like Panasonic. Panasonic comes out with like 4 or 5 updates a year.
The only Sony firmware upgrade I know of is because certain SD cards didn't work in the A7S III.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is like,
yeah, that's right.
Game-breaking bug kind of thing, right? And so,
yeah.
But whereas Panasonic's like, oh, we added new support for this new thing, which has been really cool to hear about.
Yeah, it's crazy what they do. So Dustin stuff does look great. Hey, thank you. What about shooting slow motion and vlog and grain? Sorry to bring that up again. Oh yeah, I've seen your comment. The reason I haven't answered is because I don't know yet.
What do you mean? What does he mean grain?
So when you shoot in S-Log, when you shoot in vlog on the Panasonic, when you shoot in 1080, 120 be more specific, you get a ton of noise. And yeah, I need to do some experimenting. That's just kind of what happens when you shoot at a higher frame rate. I don't know what it is on the S1H as far as like the megabits per second, but if you want to get more quality out of a camera, you shoot less frames because those megabits, those bits of information are going to be, they're going to be
spread out.
Yeah, allocated over less frames. When you shoot at 120, you're still shooting at the same amount of information, but that is being spread more thin. So that's probably why you get, you get grain and noise when you do that. There's got to be
cinematic.
Yeah. I've heard of that issue a lot. People are like, don't even shoot in 120. I need to do some experimenting myself because I don't really shoot a ton in 120. So I'm getting to it, Tony. It just takes time. I don't have all the answers, but I do try and figure out the answers if I don't know. It just takes me time to get to them. So
he said he also gets noise on 4K 60. He also said congrats to both of us. And
on 4K 60?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Do you shoot an 8-bit or 10-bit? Well, no, that could.
That wouldn't change it. Well, based off of what you just said.
So 4K 60 vlog? Let's see.
What does ISO have to do with that? I just want to say that he said congrats to both of us for, and to me for making my biz and making a living. It's tough. He wished he started when he was younger. I don't think you're very old. I can't imagine you're that old. We're older than we look. He just dresses like.
It's true. I dress.
Actually, you're younger than me. But yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your words. Everybody can make it. I hope that you make it too. I think he just dropped his age.
I think
you're 52.
52.
You are old.
Yeah. It's old, but it's not. There's a few.
I'm 30, so yeah, like you got 22 years on me.
There's a few people on the channel that are 70 that come in to the live streams. Bob, are you here?
Bob, what's up? But hey, man, good for you for being 52 and still willing to learn and experiment and test all this stuff.
I am gonna bring. I'm gonna get back to that. You actually can shoot 10-bit in slow mo. I don't know where you're getting that. I shoot 10-bit all the time in slow mo.
On the S1H.
Can you shoot 10-bit slow motion VFR? I don't believe you can actually in VFR.
This is heavy.
All right. It's pretty sweet, huh?
A monster.
Stupid anamorphics. They're so huge and heavy. Unless you go with Surrey.
Excuse me?
Surrey. SIRUI. Nope. VFR is only 8-bit. So there's the problem, I guess. So just choose the codec 4K 60 or 4K 48 for that matter. I'm a big fan. How to shoot slow-mo in 10-bit? You're talking about the S1H, right? Not the S5, right? Because yeah, the S1H, you just go to rec quality, change it to 10-bit, 4K 60 10-bit. Because yeah, I shoot 10-bit all the time. Yeah, you got to go to the codec or the actual like rec quality menu and change it. I would show you. Man, I really wish I would have just used the A7S III. Well, the reason I chose it is because I don't have a lens. I don't have a 35 millimeter lens that can go to 1.4 because I really wanted to blur this out since it's just ugly. It's an ugly, unfinished basement, and my soon-to-be wall is going to be.
It's not done yet.
It's not done yet, so I'm waiting on, stuff. So just making sure I don't miss anything here. Thank you for talking about that. I appreciate that.
Any other questions from anybody? Tony, I love you. You keep asking questions, but if there's anybody else has any questions, we're kind of wrapping up here. So if you have any other questions, this is your time.
I'm confused. I thought VFR was slow-mo. That's probably my issue. So VFR stands for variable frame rate. It just gives you the option to change your frame rates to a bunch of different options. Like you can do 2, 4, 8, 12, all the way up to like 144. So it is slow motion, but it has its limitations. The option is what I'm trying to get to. So
Michael said, hey, gents, joined late. What's Tyler's take on the S1H? Doesn't get the press as some of the other cams, kind of a sleeper. I agree with you. My experience with the S1H is limited to my experience with Dustin, and what I've seen from the S1H is incredible. However, I have been bought into Sony systems since the first A7S. All of my lenses are Sony mount. I also love the portability. I'm high on traveling, or I was before 2020. I travel a lot, so it's very
even traveling from location to location, though. It makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm big on like, I shoot everything with 2 cameras, so it's very important that 2 cameras can fit in one backpack along with lenses. I don't want to have to, take too much stuff. So the S1H is still a decent size, but it is beefier than the A7S III. Mm-hmm. So I'm big on Sony. I'm going to stick with Sony. I'm good there, but I'm still not in love with Sony's colors. They've come a long way, but they're still not great. And as far as, we haven't shot anamorphic on a Sony, but when you shot anamorphic on an S1H, you could have told me that was a Red or an RE, and I would have believed you. It's incredible. So as far as if and it depends on what kind of work you're doing, right? So for me, Sony works for me because they're small, they're compact, they're easy, they're quick, and like They shoot standard stuff. But the S1H is a powerhouse of a camera. I fully believe it. I fully support it. And if I was doing more cinematic stuff or trying to be a little bit more artsy than I am, because most of my stuff is corporate and plain and drab, then I would definitely look into getting an S1H. But again, it would be hard to pull me from Sony only because all of my lenses. I mean, I feel the same way sometimes about like, man, do I switch back to Canon because I came from Canon and I loved the colors and I loved the image. Even though the Canon is clearly less superior than the Sony and the Panasonic, but I was just like, But it's hard to be like, oh, leave my entire system of lenses and start anew, right? So that's my take personally for Sony.
You need the C70. Have you seen the C70?
I have seen the C70.
That thing
it's pretty good.
That thing is a freaking brick tank. It's like bigger than the S1H. This is actually a perfect segue into kind of a little teaser I'm going to give you guys. I do want to say one thing though. Have you seen some of my footage where I have, hiccups? I got red footage against the S1H.
I don't know. I've seen that one.
I'll have to show you the video.
Yeah.
You can see the S1H side by side with the red. By the way, I am going to make eventually a video, red camera versus S1H. It's just,
So you haven't yet. You just have the footage is what you're saying?
No. So that was like an actual project where in California, it was actually in June.
Cool.
There was a lot of stuff we were shooting with models. Of course, we bring the reds because, we want to future-proof it. But, I brought my S1H because it was going to be run and gun for a lot of it as well.
Yeah.
Because I was like, they're always like, we want 4K 60. We want the option to punch in if we need to, and like the future-proofing of like things. Because a lot of times we'll go in the archives and pull model shots and bring it into our future videos. So it's nice to have it. But, S1H next to the red. I was like, dude, it looks almost the same to me. And that's, I talked about it on my review video of the S1H. I have no reason to buy or invest into a red camera because the S1H gets me most of the way there, I
mean, I thought the same thing though, that you did years ago, you did a shoot with the very first A7S versus a red. And I was like, there's barely a difference, right? And so it's all about how you use it. Michael also comes in and says, "The shame it's a bad press on autofocus. I rarely use AF, but see the advantage if you vlog." So that's the thing. I use autofocus all the time, which is another big reason that I'm still on Sony is like, I love autofocus. It lives on a gimbal and I'm following people and I don't want to have to worry about touching my lens and doing manual focus. So
and plus even just like live events, like tracking somebody on stage or
so much harder.
They come into the audience. Like when you're in a live event scenario, like even weddings, I shot a lot of weddings on the S1H in manual and it is more work. It takes more focus and like you're a little brain dead after. And your eyes hurt from staring at your little monitor because I'm very minimal and I don't want to use an external monitor with my gimbal. That's a big deal on autofocus. It's a big deal.
I was going to say one other thing. I was going to say, this is the last nugget I'll drop for my appearance here.
Last nugget.
It's like, I was told one time, it was a long time ago, I think I was shooting on a T3i, and I was like, man, Canon T3i, long time ago. And I was like, I really want to upgrade to something, I don't remember, I think it was a GH3 or 4 at the time. And I was like, do I buy this because it shoots 4K? And like, and this guy who I was going to university with was like, is your camera holding you back? And I was like, well, I mean, clearly look at how much this camera can do over here. And they were like, yeah. But are you at the point where like you're utilizing your camera to its fullest capacity and it's holding you back? And I was like, no. Because I'd look on the internet and see people who are making T3i stuff that looked like it was shot on a red, right? It was like, how did you even do that? I don't even know, right? And so I was like, clearly no, the camera's not holding me back. I don't. And he was like, then don't waste your money chasing new gear, right?
Yep.
And that I've never forgotten that. And so sometimes I'll pay for things like the A7S II. I still hadn't even figured out, I still don't know how to use a Sony Alpha camera to its full capabilities, which is why my stuff doesn't look as good as Dustin's or anybody else. Like I am not the best videographer on the planet, but my camera wasn't holding me back. But the A7S III was a worthy upgrade because it was like, oh, the colors are better, the battery is better, and it can, do this and this better. And it was no overheating. No overheating, the flip out screen. Yeah. Those are improvements.
Overheating.
Those are improvements that are holding me back. Whereas if you're shooting on something, if you're on a S1 and you really want to go to the S1H, or if you're on, whatever it is, like, is your camera holding you back? Be the best filmmaker you can be with the gear you have. And don't, I don't want to say like don't watch Dustin's channel because you're interested in the S1H, but like,
I mean,
it's not about the gear, right? And every filmmaker says that.
That's why the channel exists,
right,
to help you decide if the camera is for you.
Sure. And what you can do with the camera, people who have it, how to get rid
I
of the
definitely make
stupid
that
tick
point.
box.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I make that point too. Like
everybody makes that point, right?
Yep.
Like, and it's kind of cringy to be like, oh, okay, Peter McKinnon, it's not about. But it's true, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's very true.
If your gear is not holding you back, there's no need to upgrade. And so until you get to that point, just figure out how to be better at what you do. And the better you get, the more content you'll have. The content gets you hired. Content is king. We keep going back to that. So as long as you are doing your best work with what you have, and then creating and then getting yourself out there, marketing, networking, the whole thing, that's how you be successful as a filmmaker in 2021 or else.
Yep. I think this has all been great. I'm going to do a little segue into a little surprise.
And we have a few more questions we'll answer once you're done with that.
Yes. For the people that are still here and are watching offline, we have a little surprise.
If you've made it this far.
If you made it this far, yeah, 100%. Thank you for that.
We're at 2
Tony,
hours.
I'm actually glad you're still here as well, because I want to help you. I want to help show you how you can get 4K 10-bit, because
here, he's going to go get something. He's getting it. It's been in the background the whole time. You just couldn't see it because my fat body is covering it.
So we have a little guy here. What is it?
What is it?
What is that? What is it? I don't know.
It says Lumix.
It says Lumix.
And then it says S5.
S5. What? Yeah. We have a Panasonic S5 here, everybody. You know what I just realized? I forgot to charge it.
That's going to make the day difficult.
We got 2 batteries for it, but, you know, I meant to put 1 battery on charge last night.
The reason I'm here, besides this live stream, is we're going to shoot a project today on the S5 and compare it to the S1H and give us some notes and some thoughts on this itty-bitty little camera.
Yeah, so you talked about size.
Itty-bitty, but that looks like
and how you may...
Such a chonker, though, man. You hold that, and it's like, dang. Yeah, this is... So, I am not familiar with this camera at all. When he told me
I'll get to your questions, Andy and Michael, by the way.
I was like, I don't even know what that is. But this is this like the mini S1H, or where does this fit in their product line? essentially it's a mini S1H,
okay. And I think it's targeted for people who are on a GH5, GH4, GH5S, G9. I'm trying to remember all the kind of Panasonic cameras. If you want to go full frame, this thing has been, or if you want a B cam for your S1H.
I haven't even turned it on, but if I was on a GH5, because one of my biggest hangups is the micro four thirds sensor on a GH5. This is like the form factor of a GH5 with what is that, a full size? No, that's not full size.
It's a micro HDMI.
But I mean, still like flip out screen, full frame, Panasonic, same system as your not your micro four thirds, but your Panasonic lenses and stuff. Yeah, that's first impressions are good. We'll see how it performs today while we shoot.
Yeah, I'm super excited to shoot this project. I didn't buy this camera, by the way. This is a rental. Everybody keeps telling me make content on the S5, but it's like when you're a small YouTuber, you can't just buy every camera in the world and make something out of it. There's no sponsorship on it or anything. I pay my own money to get it. And Panasonic cameras, I have to tell you, where I live, they are impossible to get locally.
Really?
Nobody carries them. So
Pictureline
doesn't have them. They even stopped renting out all their Panasonic stuff.
Because nobody was renting it?
But that's what I assume. Nobody rents them. That's what that's one reason I started the channel and I've talked about it. I feel like these cameras are so underrated that people just don't understand, or they're just so, they're so, enveloped, or they're so, stuck kind of in their systems because they have so many lenses and everything like that.
That's literally what I said.
Yeah, right? They're so stuck in their systems. And the reason I only had like 3 lenses for my Sony cameras, because that was just all I needed. I would just borrow Tyler's when I needed more. But I am excited to see this in action today. It's going to be a fun project. I'm not going to tell you guys what we're shooting. I'll just say it's kind of similar to like the Generations thing. But
I don't even know what we're shooting. I'm just gonna be in it. So
he's gonna be in it. I'm also gonna be in it. So
sick.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Exciting news. Round up here though. Andy said, "What about Fuji X-T series? Those look really cool. Have you seen those?"
I've seen a lot of people have been asking me a lot about that, and that how they, instead of gone with Panasonic, they went with one of those. I don't know a lot about Fuji cameras.
I don't either.
I feel
they
like
look sweet.
They look sweet.
I feel like I watched a review and I was like, I want that, and then I was like,
yeah,
back to my normal thing, right? Of like, but I'm Sony. But
yeah, exactly.
They look sweet, and I'd be excited.
I've heard that like they've made some leaps and bounds as far as like competition goes, but it's tough because I feel like it's either Canon, even Nikon is, I feel like, kind of struggling now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm sure Panasonic is also have,
at least in the video world.
Yeah, in the video world.
In the video world, Nikon, they've never been a competitor in the video world.
They haven't.
But they've fallen even further behind, and it's like you're not even a consideration anymore.
They're really great for photos, but
fantastic for photos. Tony made a funny joke. He said, "Then a drawing for a giveaway for the camera to your subscribers."
A drawing from a rental.
Yes.
I mean, maybe
we're gonna give away the rental.
I use Lens Rentals, by the way. If you're in the U.S. and you're trying to get a hold of a camera just to try it out, Lens Rentals is where I fall back on. So Lens Rentals, if you ever watch this video and you want to, sponsor a video and send some cameras, let me know.
Or sponsor a giveaway.
Or a giveaway even too. That would be sweet if I could give away a camera.
And then Michael says he uses his Ninja 5 for monitoring, and he loves it, and he loves capturing RAW. What do you use? I use a Blackmagic Video Assist, which is garbage. Don't use that. I hate it. I have a lot of problems with it. It doesn't capture RAW, but it's good enough for what I do. But I would not recommend it.
Yeah, so I actually don't use an external monitor. I did kind of mention it. I don't necessarily need RAW. I don't need ProRes RAW. I just feel like it's more work for me in post, and I already do enough in post that I don't want to do more. And the biggest thing is just like the weight of dealing with an external monitor, the extra batteries, the HDMI going to the camera. I'm very minimal. I just don't really need it. I do want to make some content with the Ninja V or
Tony
anything else in the future. And so, yeah, I just know I do want to make content on it, but as far as like me and my day-to-day, I don't use an external monitor. So let's see.
Slow motion.
Yep. Then try. Okay. Can you shoot slow motion RAW with the Ninja 5? Read clients sometimes need it.
Yes, that's the best use for it, is when you have a client and you say like, hey, take a look here, without having to show them the back of your camera.
I did make a video.
Did your dog fart? It smells terrible all of a sudden.
He could have.
Or was it you?
It wasn't me.
Oh my god.
It definitely could have been one of them.
What the heck is going on down here?
So I'm moving a little bit forward. So holy crap, that does.
I'm telling you, that's disgusting.
That was definitely probably Koba.
Koba, that's nasty, dude.
Holy crap, that stinks. Dude, have you pooped yet? Jeez, he's like, I didn't do it.
Oh, you guys talked about me?
I wish you could see him, but.
Oh my gosh.
Real quick before I get too far, I want to show Tony how to get 4K 10-bit. No. Okay. I'm gonna come up to the.
I'll narrate what he's doing. He's not gonna be able to hear you.
Go to red menu.
Go to the red menu. Back up a little bit. Your menu's blurry. Towards me. Oh, there you go. Which one? Which menu? There you go. This is the greatest way of showing someone ever. Oh my gosh, it's full glare. Not helpful.
So
image format. This menu here.
I'm in the anamorphic mode. Oh, I need to.
Hello. I'm a blurry blob of mess. There we go.
So you got to do it from that menu is my point. Don't go into VFR mode. I was in anamorphic, so that's why you didn't really see many options. And sorry, that was just terrible. So no, it is Super 35. So you will have to, it's 4K 60 Super 35 or 4K 48, Super 35. There's no full frame slow motion on the S1H. Sorry, that was terrible. Oh, you okay, Aja? You fall over?
She just smelled the fart.
She smelled the fart and it scared her. Anyways, yeah, don't go. It's a little bit different on the S1H. That one was at like the bottom of the menu. But yeah, it's in image format. Go to rec quality and change it in that menu. So
Michael asked a quick question. This is probably going to be the last one. Off topic a bit, have any of you ever cleaned manually a sensor on your cameras? I have, and I don't recommend it. Mirrorless cameras are pretty easy to clean because the sensor's right there. I grabbed a sensor pen and did that. But the sensor pen itself, I think, was $50, and you can only use it a few times, and you have to keep it in a special case. Whereas our local camera shop, I think, cleans sensors for $30.
Yeah.
They're more experienced, they know what they're doing, and they do it all the time. So in my experience, I clean my sensor maybe twice a year. Mm-hmm. So I was like, look, would I rather buy a pen a year for $50 and have to do it myself, or just drop it off twice a year? Unless I really need it. Sometimes I get away with not doing it even that much. So I personally don't recommend it when there's someone else who can do it nearby for that cheap.
Yeah, I've done it before as well, but I don't recommend it. So yeah, Super 35, and there's an option in the menu.
Leo, what a loaded
Yeah, there's an option in the menu. We'll answer Leo's question.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, if questions keep coming in, we'll stay on. But Leo
totally.
says, I have $2,500. I want to do cinematic sequences all in studio, no outside or location shoots. What camera should I get?
It's a harder question to answer than said, because we don't know. Do you already have a camera? Do you not have anything?
No, I mean, because my biggest question would be, your lens is going to be probably more important than your camera.
Yeah, exactly.
And the lens could be $2,500 by itself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So if you had $2,500 total and you need a camera and a lens, I mean, I don't know. If that's your budget, you're gonna spend what's the S1H retail?
$4,000.
$4,000.
This is $2,000.
$2,000 for that guy, and this is what, $3,000?
$3,500.
$35 for an A7S III.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a tough one. If you want, okay, so you want 2,500. You want to do cinematic sequences all in studio, no outside or location shoots. What camera should I get?
Here's the real answer. Before you say what you're gonna say, the real answer is get paid by a client and rent.
Yeah, and rent a nice camera. Yeah, that's a good option.
The best option, because that would be the most cinematic.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, my answer would probably be an A7S II.
Yeah.
Or an A7 III.
Mm-hmm.
Because even this at $2,000, you're going to need to spend $500 lens is not going to be super cinematic. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Because you could go with how many lenses do you need? There's so many to this. Okay, I have great lighting and I'm still shooting with a GH2. Want to shoot with vintage lenses. So a great option is an S5 or a GH5 or GH5S if you're already kind of in that ecosystem, because they're fairly cheap. I do know that the S5 is almost the same price as the GH5S, crazy enough.
Retail, but GH5S has been out for so long, you could find some.
You could probably get a used one for really good, because vintage lenses, like this one was only $90 that's on it right now. This is the Canon FD 50mm 1.4.
I used to shoot vintage on Sony as well on my A7S II, but then I got sick of shooting manual and I moved to auto. That's a big reason of why I shifted. But yeah, I mean, I would say a used GH5S if you're already in that ecosystem and you're wanting to shoot vintage, because I just don't know. Well, because we haven't used this, but sticking a vintage lens on a camera like this, I feel like you'd be underutilizing some of the body features.
Yeah, you could be.
Whereas a GH5 or a GH5S, which isn't the difference between 5 and 5S, just some low light capabilities.
Yeah,
so then you might not even need the S. You could just go GH5.
Yeah, and you could go with Micro Four Thirds Surrey lens. It's an anamorphic lens. It's only you don't get a ton of anamorphic characteristics from it. It's like a 1.33 crop, but people love them. They look really good. You can get some cinematic stuff out of it because it does give you those anamorphic flares. You don't really get the bokeh or the stretch, like the wide field of view, but I don't know. I feel like that would be a good option to go if you were in that ecosystem.
And again, it all comes back to you. But I would say, what are you unhappy with what makes you unhappy with the GH2? What makes you want to upgrade? You know, what kind of stuff are you already doing? All that.
That's a pretty old camera. I'd want to upgrade if I was there.
GH2 is really old.
If it was like true. GH4, maybe.
Yeah,
but
then it would be like, oh.
Yeah, GH2 is
we got more questions
camera.
running in. So Tony, clarify Tony first, and then we'll get to Michael. We're going to get to you. Michael, that's a great question.
Yeah, so Tony, go into your menu. Go into the red menu. Yeah, I might even be able to do it real quick. I can give you the exact... Honestly, you could probably...
I finally see it. Is it 59.94p?
Yeah, 59.94p.
Yeah, Leo. Thanks for asking the question. That was a good conversation.
Yeah, no problem, Leo. Yeah, I have videos on the channel where I've gone into the menu and changed settings like this, so you can 100%... I can find one of them and I could send it to you while we are answering your questions. But how do you back up footage? Yeah, ooh, that's a good one.
That's a great question.
That is one I'm still trying to figure out.
So I've found a really good service called Backblaze. Do you use Backblaze?
Nope.
Backblaze. You haven't heard of it? I think it's $100 a year, and they back up your entire computer, including all of your external drives, which is mind-boggling to me. Yeah. And it just runs in the background, and like I haven't even uploaded my whole computer yet because I've got about like 24 terabytes in my computer, or at least like connected via external drives and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's just constantly updating, but once it finishes, however long that takes, it theoretically will back up one whole personal computer. Now it costs more if you're going to do business and enterprise, but it was like including your externals, which I was like, then why does it, what could be an upgrade? So Backblaze is what I use. Backblaze is what I use to back up everything. And then I have a RAID enclosure, but I built it myself and I'm not that experienced with it and I don't love it. It doesn't function the way it should. And I'm not a big fan. Otherwise, I've just got a bunch of disks, a bunch of hard drives that I kind of back up. All my active stuff goes on my fastest hard drive. And once it's like done and archived and I'm finished with that client, I'll move it over to a slower, like 8 terabyte backed up hard drive.
Yeah, that's kind of similar. I don't use that, but I actually use Google Drive to like archive my stuff. I pay for G Suite, which is like $10 a month, and they don't say you have unlimited storage, but they don't monitor it. So I have a lot of data up there. But
PhotoWorks, you are correct. On Backblaze, if you disconnect your drive, it will delete it after 30 days. But they'll give you a warning and say, hey, you haven't connected this drive. We need to get that drive back to like before we delete it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, a lot of my drives are either always connected or I'll just turn them off and turn them on when I need, which I usually do within every 30 days. But that is a good point, that it's not like a sweet archival tool for like years and years of stuff. 55 terabytes and going.
Jeez, man, that's crazy. So what I do though, kind of similar, I have a working drive that's an SSD. I'll put all my projects that I'm working on the SSD, and then I also back it up to a physical drive. And then when I'm done with the project, it goes to the physical drive, and then I put it on Google Drive. So
I just looked up, Michael, this Drobo. You like that? You like how it works? Because there's some Synology similar things that are a little bit cheaper. Do you have to do any software, or does Drobo handle that? Because that's my problem, is I think I just didn't like program it correct. My little box, every time I plug it in, Microsoft is like, what the hell is this? Yeah That's it.
I think we should wrap it because we gotta start shooting things. Actually,
we gotta do some stuff, otherwise I'm gonna be here all day.
Yeah, I could sit and talk and answer questions all day.
Absolutely could. Drobo like a giant RAID trash can. Yeah. Looks sweet. I'm gonna check that out. Thanks for the tip. Because I don't know what I'm doing with RAID stuff. Yeah,
neither do I. I want to know, but then again I don't. I think I am just gonna start segueing into wrapping it up because we gotta shoot some things. We got some stuff to do. So if you have any more questions, feel free to just put them in the comments of this video and I'll answer them, or Tyler will answer them.
I'll jump on my real YouTube account so you'll know it's actually me, and then I'll answer them as well. If you have any for me, but everybody's here for Dustin, so that's fine.
So if you are watching offline and you have questions, feel free to put them in the comments. This video is going straight up right after we're done, but it may process, I don't know how long it takes or whatever, but yeah, it's going straight up once we're done. You can answer questions. Even if you got questions about the S5, I will answer questions best I can. I literally haven't shot anything on this. All I've done is just played with it.
But by the time you write that comment, we will have shot some stuff. So
we will have shot some stuff. So I do have some impressions on it already compared to the S1H, and I am going to make not just one video. I think I'm going to try and make 2 or 3 videos in the time that I do have it when comparing to the S1H. And so, yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks
for being here.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Tyler.
the questions. That was fun. And thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, Tyler, for being here. We are going to be I'm going to do more streams like this. I think in the future, I think the next one I'm going to try and do is with Chris McLean.
Yeah, I love it.
This
is the man.
He's the best wedding videographer, literally has the award for like the past 4 years in my state where I live. And so I think I'll bring him on and just, even if you're not a wedding videographer, he does do other things as well. He's a freelance videographer for Disney. He goes to Disney
Big deal.
Yeah, he goes to Disney like 50 times a year, I swear.
When you work for the mouse,
yeah,
that's a big deal.
Exactly. So he'll have some cool insight on like being freelance.
I want to hear that.
Yeah.
I want to hear his
maybe I just need to have a co-host too.
That's the thing. I'll come back anytime. It was easier when you lived closer to me, but
I know. I recently moved, for those who don't know. I used to be like down the street from Tyler, and now I'm like 30 minutes from Tyler. So it's the worst. Oh man.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Be sure, if you support me and you support this stream, you like what we do, look down in the description. You can support the channel if you use any of those links. And if also, you can just support the channel by hitting the subscribe button.
It's free.
Yeah, it's free.
Do that.
Hitting the subscribe button and the like button and the bell button to be notified of future uploads and future streams as well. So
don't miss our streams.
Yeah, don't miss them. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
I got to walk over here to end it. So
this is where I'll just whisper to everybody. So long. Bye.
I have to bring it back because I forgot to say, until the next video, though, happy filming.
Next time.